Looks like. I don't know how it works. मैं एक बार वो आर्टिकल भी लगा दूंगा. जिस पे डिस्कशन होना है आज. We just we started in a couple of minutes. Let me just do the bit of pasting of articles and so forth.
आदिल जी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है साफ.
अच्छा 10 सेकंड दीजिए, मैं एक बार ये आर्टिकल लगा दूं, फिर मैं एक
जी
बार
जी.
एग्जिट करके एंट्री लेता हूँ, उससे आवाज साफ हो जाती है. जस्ट मैं एग्जिट करके एक बार एंट्री लेता हूँ. मैंने किसी और को मॉन बनाया है. और मैं एग्जिट करके एंट्री. Am I sounding better?
या
वो कुछ ब्लूटूथ का होता है कि अगर आप एब्रप्टली एक रूम से दूसरे रूम में स्विच करो तो आवाज का कुछ इशू हो जाता है, तो एग्जिट करके. सोहेल, who's this cute one on your DP? Is he your son?
क्या है दुल्हन भाई?
ये क्यूट सा बच्चा कौन है आपके DP पे, your son?
मेरा भाई का बच्चा है, भाई का बच्चा
आज
है.
अच्छा बहुत अच्छा. Very cute. Uh, we would be discussing as in series of. Okay, I put in the wrong tweet link. I put in the article, I put in the tweet link, so let me first put the article. Just give me another couple of minutes. SMG अतरवी की तब तक आप लोग थोड़ा सा अगर इस पे चालू करना तो मैं तब तक आर्टिकल वगैरह.
Atavi, are you there? ठीक है, I'll just give a brief about it. जो आंदोलन जी इस रूम में बोल रहे हैं रखा है. सो रेप एंड विक्टिम स्टोलन इन स्टोनिंग इन इस्लाम. तो बेसिक है कि हम ये देखने वाले हैं कि देर हैव बीन केसेस विच हैज बीन हैपनिंग इन द इस्लामिक कंट्री, द रेप केसेस ऑफ वुमेन अराउंड द इस्लामिक कंट्री, एंड उसका क्या असर था, उसका क्या इफ़ेक्ट था, एंड व्हाट दे डिड यूजिंग द शरिया लॉ. सो वी जस्ट वांट टू क्रिएट अ स्मॉल अवेयरनेस कि अगर यहाँ पे शरिया लॉ होता फॉर द मुस्लिम, देन उसका असर क्या होता. एंड अगर एक रेप होता मुसलमान लड़की का एज पर द शरिया लॉ, what are the requirements, what are the things required for her to prove that उसका रेप हुआ है. बिकॉज जैसे ये लोग बोलते हैं कि मुसलमान औरतों का equal rights hai, they have equal, they have the rights to speak, they have the protection and everything, but reality may, is it really there, or is it not, is it in their favor, or is it in the favor of the men who is actually raping the woman. So this is few cases that Andolan ji had actually brought up in the previous room. In the Islamic countries जो जो किस्से हुए हैं in the recent time, and what happened, how did it take place, not about how did it take place, but how did they deal with it, and what was the thing that these ladies had to go through, after being raped, whether they really have that right to prove that they were raped, or were they being, whether they had a different effect. So that's, or they had to face the other side of the atrocity as per the Islamic law. So we will discuss about it, and Andolan ji will throw some light on few of the cases around the Islamic country. Andolan ji, over to you.
राइट. हम लोगों को जिसको क्रिमिनल ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस या हाउ केसेस आर रन इन इंडिया और फॉर दैट मैटर इन सिविलाइज्ड कंट्री, डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री, लेट मी नॉट यूज द वर्ड सिविलाइज्ड, जहाँ पे प्रॉपर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन धार्मिक तरीकों से नहीं है बट मॉडर्न ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस है. There, if when a criminal proceeding is undertaken, you would either look at direct evidence or even look at circumstantial evidence to establish कि क्राइम हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है. जैसे क्या कहते हैं, अभी आजकल एक इंडिया में रेप केस की बहुत चर्चा है, which was a gang rape case during the 2002 violence in Gujarat, that of Bilkis Bano. The Bilkis Bano case was done outside the state of Gujarat, so that the jury or the judges cannot be influenced in any way. However, in Bilkis Bano case, there was no direct evidence presented, and the entire case and the conviction of close to 11 people was based on circumstantial evidence. So even the lady in question could not identify all the 11 perpetrators, and that could possibly be the case. She would be under huge trauma, and nobody's, So what we are not trying to do is, question the judgment in any way. We are just trying to explain कि इंडियन जूरिस्प्रूडेंस में जब क्रिमिनल लॉ की प्रोसीडिंग होती है तो फैक्चुअल या एविडेंस के अलावा सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस को भी अकाउंट फॉर करके कन्विक्शन होते हैं, जैसा कि बिल्किस बानो के केस में हुआ था. बिल्किस बानो केस वाज entirely built upon circumstantial evidence, right? Not on somebody's direct gavahi or even the victim's direct gavahi, right? And these prisoners were kept for 15 odd years in prison and so on and so forth. However, when we talk about Islamic countries, and specifically when we talk about sexual offenses against women, and let me be very specific, जब हम बात करते हैं रेप केसेस, यहाँ पे जो कन्विक्शन है वो जैसे इंडियन सिस्टम में होता है सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस के बेसिस पे, वहां पे वो नहीं माना जाता है. अगर आप इस्लामिक लॉ पढ़ेंगे तो अगर किसी महिला के साथ बलात्कार हुआ है तो उसको the burden of proof is on her. सबसे पहला इशू तो ये है, the burden of proof that rape happened to her is on her. उसको गवाह लाके दिखाना पड़ेगा जुडिशरी के सामने, जो भी क्या कहते हैं जुडिशरी है, कि उसके साथ बलात्कार हुआ और इन लोगों ने करा. मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा विशाखा जी अगर ऊपर आ सके तो she can also talk about it. तो इधर या
एक बार ये सर्कमस्टांशियल वाला बता दीजिए, होता क्या है ये, ज्यादा नहीं
हाँ,
पता.
सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंसेस ये होते हैं कि जैसे मतलब मान लीजिए किसी लड़की ने क्लेम करा कि ये 3 लड़कों ने मेरे साथ रेप करा है, ठीक है. अब डायरेक्ट एविडेंस क्या होगा, उसने वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग दे दी या उसके पड़ोसी ने देखा कि हाँ ये 3 लड़के इसके साथ जबरदस्ती कर रहे थे, या पासर्स भाई ने देखा कि हाँ ये 3 लड़के इसके साथ जबरदस्ती कर रहे थे, तो ये तो क्या डायरेक्ट एविडेंस. सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस ये होता है कि बाई चांस किसी ने इसको नहीं देखा, लेकिन पुलिस ने मोबाइल टावर को ट्रायंगुलेट करके इन 3 लड़कों के मोबाइल फोन की लोकेशन इस लड़की के मोबाइल फोन के पास पाई, ठीक है. सो दिस इज वन सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस दैट these 3 guys were near that girl, right? And then if the girl in question has underwent क्या कहते हैं sexed or post sexed, there would be signs of biology on her body which would do this. Acha, other direct evidence could be presence of semen of these 3 people on her body, right? That would be a direct evidence, that would not be a circumstantial evidence. तो उससे तो तुरंत पता चल जाएगा कि हाँ वो डीएनए टेस्टिंग से कि भाई ये फला बंदे का सीमन was found on the body or body parts of a lady, and there was forced sex which happened to her, so that is fairly conclusive evidence. पर circumstantial evidence जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि रेप हुआ ये तो एस्टैब्लिश हुआ, आपका डीएनए सैंपलिंग से डायरेक्ट एसोसिएशन नहीं हो पाया कि इन लड़कों ने करा है, पर इन 3 लड़कों के मोबाइल फोन ट्रायंगुलेट हो गए लड़की के मोबाइल फोन के पास ही थे या उस एरिया में थे, तो बाकी वो फिर स्टोरी बिल्डअप करके सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस पे इन 3 लड़कों को या 30 लड़कों को या जो भी मतलब है उसको सजा. तो दिस इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन डायरेक्ट एविडेंस एंड सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस, right? I hope East by was it explanatory enough? Okay.
जी
तो
जी हाँ दुलान भाई, थैंक यू।
जी, तो यह इंडियन जूरिस्प्रूडेंस में सर्कमस्टांशियल एविडेंस भी कंक्लूसिव मान के, जैसे बिल्किस फानो के केस में द इंटायर जजमेंट वाज बेस्ड ऑन सर्कमस्टांशियल एविडेंस, राइट, नॉट ऑन डायरेक्ट एविडेंस। तो अब मैं यही आपको बताना चाह रहा था, जो इस्लामिक कंट्रीज है, यहाँ पे अगर किसी महिला के साथ ये अत्याचार हो गया है, बलात्कार हो गया, रेप हो गया, फर्स्ट इज द बर्डन इज प्रूफ ऑन हर, second is she has to bring direct evidence, circumstantial evidence के basis पे she cannot win the case। चलिए यहाँ तक बात ठीक है कि आपके साथ मान लीजिए कुछ गलत काम हुआ, आप वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं है, कोई गवाह नहीं है, डीएनए सैंपल्स डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए हैं, राइट, आप कोर्ट में केस लेके गए, आपके पास कोई डायरेक्ट एविडेंस नहीं है, आप स्टैब्लिश नहीं कर पाए, कहानियां खत्म नहीं, क्योंकि इस पूरे प्रोसेस में ये तो चेक होता है कि लड़की के साथ सेक्स हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, वो तो स्टैब्लिश हो जाता है कि हाँ इसके साथ सेक्स हुआ, पर हो सकता है सामने वाले बंदे के सीमेंट ट्रेसेस आपकी बॉडी पे नहीं मिले, तो डायरेक्ट एविडेंस नहीं मिला, पर ये तो हो गया कि आपके साथ सेक्स हुआ। जब ये लड़की स्टैब्लिश नहीं कर पाती है कि इन 3 आदमियों ने या इन 4 आदमियों ने या इन 2 आदमियों ने मेरे साथ रेप करा, तो ना केवल उसकी अपील खारिज होती है, उस पे उल्टा एडल्टरी का केस चलाया जाता है कि यू बीइंग नॉन मैरिड गर्ल और हैविंग सेक्स विद समबडी यू आर नॉट मैरिड टू, you indulged into a sexual activity with someone else which you could not establish was a rape। और उस एडल्टरी की सजा डिपेंडिंग अपॉन इस्लामिक कंट्री, इस्लामिक जूरिस्प्रूडेंस में एडल्टरी की सजा इज स्टोनिंग टू डेथ। Sadly, the same is practiced across multiple Islamic countries even today. We will discuss case by case across various Islamic countries। तो आप आयरनी देखिए कि अगर मैं I don't intend to use a rape victim for the purpose of explanation, but to give you a perspective, if the rape of Bilqis Bano happened in Saudi Arabia, instead of these 11 guys being in prison for 15 years, it would have been Bilqis Bano who would have been subjected to 200 lashes and up to 3 years in jail for doing it. And this is one aspect of Islamic law which I wanted to introduce. And this is not just limited to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, thankfully, is the leaniest of them all, which, after adultery being established, only punishes the girl with 200 lashes and 6 months to 3 years of imprisonment. We will discuss cases in Iran, we will discuss cases in Pakistan, we will discuss cases in Qatar. And this is what women, sorry,
Afghanistan. I was saying even in Afghanistan.
हाँ, तो ये इस विषय पे चर्चा है कि ये रिलीजन जो इस तरह की हरकतें करता आ रहा है 2020s में, why are people not calling this kind of blatant, ये गुलामी से गई गुजरी चीज है। कोई महिला के खिलाफ अगर बलात्कार हुआ है, वो एफआईआर बनाने से पहले डरेगी कि कल को वो स्टैब्लिश नहीं कर पाई अपना क्या कहते हैं रेप, तो उसके ऊपर एडल्टरी का चार्जेस डाल के उसको लैशेस दिए जाएंगे और 6 महीने से 3 साल की सजा, वो भी सऊदी में। ये पहला केस है, मैंने आर्टिकल लगाया हुआ है, रेप विक्टिम सेंटेंस टू 200 lashes and 6 months in imprisonment for adultery। Which girl in her right mind who has been raped in a Islamic society would dare to follow through this kind of follow through getting her these rapers punished? is this is introduced in Islam to allow men raping women without consequences? What is this सड़ा हुआ समाज? ये आज डिस्कस करेंगे. ओवर टू अदर पीपल. ऊपर वाला मैंने केस लगाया है, अभी मैं और भी केसेस लगाऊंगा. ये एक कंट्री, एक सिंगल केस नहीं है. दिस इज द लीगल ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस इन इस्लामिक कंट्री. वरुण जी, तथास्तु जी, एसएम जी और
This is
धर्मी जी.
it's extremely painful ना आंदोलन जी के 2022 में भी audacity to call out a woman just because she was 14 and she was raped. I was shocked कि already वो 7 आदमियों ने उसका रेप कर दिया है and then she was saying कि all those men were not getting they had lenient punishment, and because people were supporting her, that's why the judiciary doubled her punishment, because they said ki okay, she's appealing to the masses and she's trying to influence the judiciary. So this is very shocking to me, and I also read maybe you don't want to mention it, but I'm very surprised कि अभी भी ये हो रहा है, and this is not just applicable to Muslim women. This is also applicable in Islamic country to women of foreign origin as well. आपने जो series of article मतलब ट्विटर पे अपने हैंडल पे डाले हुए हैं
जी
related
जी,
to this.
वो
So
डच वाला केस भी डिस्कस करेंगे एट द एंड,
हाँ,
बट ये तो पहला केस है. मैं
ये
अब वो
ये जो ये आइडल वर्शिपर से इतनी नफरत है इन्हें, तो ये जो भी हराम होता है ना, उसको वो पत्थर से जोड़ देते हैं. तो इसलिए अगर इफ somebody is doing something haram in their religion, let's say adultery, वो प्रूफ हो ना हो बाद की बात है, उसको वो स्टोनिंग पहले शुरू कर देंगे, because anything related to the stone is haram to them. So कोई भी crime, जैसे चोरी को वो हराम नहीं कहते, इट्स अ नो, इट्स अ बिग नो, डोंट स्टील, इट्स अ बैड एंड गुड स्टफ, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू adultery, it's definitely a bad stuff. So they equate it to the idolatry, like murti puja, and they would stone that person to death because it's like big haram. अब जो haram word use करते हैं ना, that is related to idolatry actually. So anything I do which is equivalent to that. तो ये and it's very disheartening कि I don't know कि what do they think of women, because once your rape is actually even अगर वो रेप प्रूव हो जाए कि लड़की का रेप हुआ है, उससे कोई बेबी भी हो रहा है उसका, तो इसमें प्रॉपर्टी फिर देनी पड़ती है आदमी को. And you know what? Many of the majority of the Muslim actually propagate it as it's some sort of a favor done to a Muslim. कि देखो इस्लाम में इतना अच्छा है कि अगर किसी का लड़की का रेप हो जाता है तो ये बोला जाता है कि उसको इतनी प्रॉपर्टी देनी पड़ेगी, ये देनी पड़ेगी. तो कई बार तो वो प्रॉपर्टी ना देनी पड़े, और देनी पड़ेगी पहले तो उस रीजन तक आने के लिए आपको 4 गवाह चाहिए. वो 4 मेल शुड बी एडवोकेटिंग इफ शी वाज रेप्ड और नॉट. एंड अगर प्रॉपर्टी वाला भी अगर इसमें चक्कर लगा दें, तो they don't want you to give a property, so they will never let it prove कि these people were actually, this girl was actually raped. In the previous case what आंदोलन जिसको पिन किया था जिस आर्टिकल को, तो उसमें तो 7 लोगों ने रेप किया था मिलके, तो वो भी प्रूफ करना उसको भी थोड़ा आसान रहा होगा. इमेजिन इफ यू आर रेप बाय जस्ट 1 or 2 men, then it would be very difficult for that woman to prove the rape. और जहाँ पे अगर प्रॉपर्टी की बात आ गई कि अगर रेप प्रूव होने के बाद प्रॉपर्टी और बच्चा होने के बाद देना पड़ा, तो और भी ज़्यादा मुश्किल हो जाएगा, बिकॉज the other men would be like, yeah, I will give you some money and don't need to, because I will have to give her a property. So here women have been, it's like oppressed. I'm not even saying oppressed, क्योंकि यहाँ तो कोई कंडीशन ही नहीं है कि उसको ऊपर बिठाना भी है. तो यहाँ पे तो कोई
अच्छा,
कंडीशन ही नहीं है, यहाँ तो एहसान है एक तरह का, जस्टिस को भी एहसान की तरह दिया गया है यहाँ पे.
मैं
तो
पाकिस्तान की रेप टू मैट्रिमोनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सिस्टम के बारे में भी आपको बताऊंगा. पर अभी ये क्या कहते हैं, जो रेप टू एडल्टरी कन्वर्जन है, जिसमें महिलाओं को डिस्करेज करा जा रहा है पूरे इस्लामिक सोसाइटी में रेप के खिलाफ आवाज उठाने से. इसका एक केस है ये खैर ये वाला केस पब्लिक बॉडी मतलब गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं करा था, एक मिलिटेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने करा था, नंदनलेस इस्लामिक मिलिटेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। 13 साल की बच्ची को एडल्ट्री का केस बता के स्टोन करके मार डाला, और जिसने ऑब्जेक्ट करा उसको शूट डाउन कर दिया।
ओह वाओ!
दिस इज इस्लाम 101 for you.
So, Andolan, if I may.
Please.
So, just couple of points that I want to add on this, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, because this is hearsay for me. So, if I'm not mistaken, Islam says that the woman has to produce 4 witnesses for it to be recognized as rape. Point one. Secondly, you know, there is when you talk about adultery, there is no punishment defined for the man involved in the adulterous act as well. So that's another bit of a problem as well. And you know, as far as the other thing is, Islam does not recognize marital rape. So that's another problem as well, because it's for the woman to accept having sex with the man if she's married to him. So there's nothing called marital rape. So these 3 points, just wanted to add to this, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this.
So, Fried Bhai, for today's topic, while you have raised very relevant points of marital rapes and punishment for men for adultery in Islam, but what will happen is, when we go into these topics, the main topic for the day, where Islamic society is curbing women right to complain against rapes by turning it to adultery and stoning girls to death. That is the prime topic, and there is a reason I don't want to deviate from it, is to establish that this entire process is just created so that women can't complain, and Islam provides a sanction to it. So I have just updated, talked about the stoning of Aisha Ibrahim Duhalu. This was not done by a government. So let me be clear on that. This was done by one Islamic terrorist organization. But the earlier case which I had put in for Saudi, this was done by Saudi judiciary. What I'm going to put in next is done by the Pakistani judiciary. So it is not one-off case in one-off countries by few radicalized individuals. This is the modern Islamic society spanning across Saudi, Qatar, Pakistan for you. And none of the articles that I'm putting up are from unreliable sources. The first article I had put up was from Guardian. This particular article that I have put in is from Daily Mail. So these are not blogs by individuals who don't have credentials. This is what Pakistan government and judiciary does.
Also, Andolanji, this YouTube specifically of a certain kind. I've been trying to look for a couple of news and videos that happened in 2013 and all of those. It's sad. I mean, all of those videos are missing. They've been taken down by YouTube, which collaborates and complements the far right Islamist governments all over the world. They give them covering fire, and they ensure that none of this evidence is kept online for too long. It's called digital sweeping. They what they indulge in is a digital cleanup after these acts are committed, and all of the evidence is removed by these guys.
Yeah, because I remember specifically, I came to know about this from a case of a 16-year-old, if I'm not forgetting, either Egyptian or Iranian girl, who was gang raped. and subsequently she was put to gallows for adultery. A 16-year-old kid. And I'm not able to find those articles, any of those articles. Somewhere, some body is working to eliminate these newses from general public consumption. So let me ask this question. How many of these people, you people sitting on the panel, knew that if a girl is not able to prove rape in Islam, she would be tried for adultery? How many of you were aware of this?
I'm aware of this.
Andoranji, actually, I think so. Iran, which you were mentioning, there was, I don't, if I get the report, I will send you. There was a report out that in Iran, every week around 3 women are being executed every week in the name of blasphemy, of which one are around the age, below the age of 15. If I get the report, I will send you. I had read that probably it was a report that has come out in 2012 only itself, that in Iran it's still happening.
But the bigger problem, Tenali is, there was this big news report. The entire globe protested to, I'm not remembering whether it was Egypt or Iran, one of these two countries, with a 16-year-old young kid. She was gang raped. She could not provide direct evidence. So charges of adultery were put against it, and she was put to death. The entire global governance system appealed to, I think, Iran not to kill her, but Iran still went ahead and killed her. And suddenly I could find no digital traces for those reports, which were like a big time news. Rosie ji, were you aware of this? Neeraj bhai, Rosie ji, Vishakha ji.
आंदोलन जी, जो आपने टॉपिक लगाया है, आई मीन आई एम नॉट सरप्राइज टू हियर अबाउट ऑल दिस, क्योंकि इट्स वेरी नॉर्मल एंड नेचुरल. यहाँ पे यू नो rape is a big it is celebrated. Like, I don't know whether you have heard of this game Taharush. It is a game in which public rape is encouraged. Sexual assault on the streets happen. And आप इंटरनेट पे सर्च कर सकते हैं तहारुश के बारे में. एंड रिसेंटली देयर आर लॉट ऑफ वीडियोस व्हिच केम फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान. तो वहाँ पे लोगों ने इसको मतलब बढ़ चढ़ के इसको स्वागत किया है. आप अगर वो टिकटॉकर को याद करें तो कैसे एक पूरी
वो
पार्क में
मीनारे रेपिस्तान वाला जो
बिल्कुल
episode है.
बिल्कुल तो वहाँ पे 300-400 लोगों ने उसके ऊपर मतलब पड़ गए वो सारे के सारे. तो उसके बाद आपने वो भी याद होगा आपको जहाँ पे लड़कियों को नंगा करके उनको मतलब वुमेन एंड यंग गर्ल्स हु वर लाइक टीनेजर्स, दे वर स्ट्रिप्ड नेक्ड इन पब्लिक. उसके बाद एक और वीडियो देखा हमने, दे वर जंपिंग ऑन ए वुमेन. ये जो आर्मी वाले थे वो दे वर जंपिंग ऑन ए वुमेन ऑन द स्ट्रीट्स. और कई मतलब केसेस हम देख रहे हैं वेयर वुमेन आर गेटिंग काइंड ऑफ दे आर ट्रीटेड लाइक सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन इन दीज कंट्रीज. बहुत
That
बड़ा
is
इशू
true.
है एंड गुड दैट यू हैव रेज्ड दिस इशू.
And this
Is it a
particular
part? Is it a part of the scripture?
yes,
Is it a part?
yes, Pratash ji.
Maybe I think I'm deviating.
But एक छोटा सा
Ask
point
you.
मैं
No,
बोल
it is
दूं.
a part of the scripture.
But whether it
Please.
is part of the scripture, it is definitely a part of the scripture, but I don't want to go there. I want to talk contemporary, otherwise the discussion goes for a toss, right? My point is quite simple, Neeraj ji. These, violence against, women happens across the globe, right? It is not something that only happens in Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or Qatar. It happens in India
It
also. It happens
happens
in
in
US also.
Sweden
Just,
as
just,
well.
just, just, just one
In
second. Just one
Sweden.
second. Yeah, just one second, Julia. Right? There's a point which I'm trying to make out here. Crime against women happens across the globe, but the policy and the state enabling crime against women. Persecuting the woman for having been raped only happens in Islamic society. That's the point. शाहिद जी, आपको पता था कि ये क्या कहते हैं, जिन बच्चियों के साथ रेप होता है उनको एडल्ट्री के लिए ट्राई करा जाता है?
If I can join as a speaker,
Yeah,
I
Jojo.
would,
Yeah.
if everyone
Go ahead,
could
Jojo.
talk English. My English is not so very good, but I try.
English is fine, Jojo, and go ahead.
Try so we can communicate with each other, because it's the same problem here in Sweden.
Go ahead, Jojo. Please speak.
We didn't have gang rapes. It was unheard of. We didn't have cumulative rapes and robberies. It was unheard of. We didn't have to have women that could not go without hijab outside. It was unheard of. But as soon as Islam put their filthy foot in Sweden, that is our everyday life. It's shooting, it's rape, it's gang rape, it's everything. And it's always the Swedish person that gets assaulted, because they don't go after the ones, they don't go after a woman with hijab. But if I walk beside a woman with hijab, they will take me, they will gang rape me. I had to move so many times because of Muslims. I'm sorry to say, but it's the damn truth.
Thanks, Ishri. नित्या जी, आप कुछ कहना चाहें?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in what Jojo was saying. That is so true, because if you see, there is a large section in UK that has been constantly screaming, yelling the world to look at Sweden. That's and to learn what not to do, because the UK literally stands and calls themselves that we are just about, like a couple of years, 5 years from becoming a Sweden. So it's that's how horrible it is. And they've been looking at the US and telling, you guys have at least 15-20 years, but you're also heading down that way only. But you have some time, to learn from the mistake, and that's what is happening. I'm sure everybody here.
But do you know the most sad part is?
Yep.
That the Swedish people, my country, my land, that I love, we're so kind. We open up our even homes, and people get raped by these immigrants in their home, and the children get raped.
Yep, Jojo, you're talking.
And we open we open our homes, we open our schools, we give them homes, we give them apartments, we give them money, we give them everything, and they just do this to us.
True. So let me just make that one thing very clear. The first precedence of this kind of, the kindness and inclusiveness and inviting behavior was obviously done by the people, the native land, residents and native people of the land of India, Bharat. That's how Hindus always opened their land, and we suffered over centuries and centuries. The problem is everybody insists on not learning from the history, and not unless and until bad happens to us, people don't believe it. And unfortunately, I think that has gotten the world to the place where we are, because it's only learning from our own losses, but not learning from what's happening outside. Even in the US, there is dangerous level of ignorance of what this cult brings. Okay, but again, I don't want to deviate from the topic. Andolan, you want to stick to that only, but this is very important to know that what is the basis, because time and again this particular cult has enjoyed the ignorance of the people that they have not yet demolished. So those people think this won't happen to us, but it happens, because that is their only way of existence. And now they are doing in Denmark. It's a horrible scene in
And
Denmark.
Sweden, Denmark, Norway, not
Yes.
Finland, because Finland, they have a little bit of Russian balls.
Well, Spain, they have overturned it. I'm not sure how many people know the history, but Islam had taken over Spain entirely.
But it's so terrible for me. Like I always thought like
Jojo,
India.
could you let Nitya finish and then you can come up? Otherwise, if two
Okay, I
people
just
speak,
wanted to
yeah,
say
yeah,
my
yeah.
point,
We'll
my
come to you.
opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just trying to make the point. Yes, that's what it's very appalling what's happening in Denmark. That's what is happening. They're out on the streets, and the same very people, they're refugees. They have been refugees. They have been taken in by Denmark because they wanted to run away from persecuted quote unquote Sharia countries, and they're refugees, and they are there living on the food stamps, living on the money of the Scandinavian progress, but they are out on the street because now they are dangerously, close to the numbers that they want to be, and they are openly threatening the Danish men on the street, saying that we are going to take over your women, we are going to finish you guys because now we are in numbers and we're going to do this, and they're like, we're going to turn this into a Sharia place. I mean, if this is so open, everybody can see it, the world can see it. What are people waiting for? Unless and until they walk into my house, I'm not going to see the threat. That's a problem. But having said that, on the topic here, it is very, very much part of the way they are conditioned. And yes, I was probably not aware, as growing up, that this was the Islam, situation, that if a woman is going to be punished for being raped, she's going to be punished if she can prove the rape. If she cannot prove, then, and actually it's worse. If she can't prove it, then she's going to be stoned. If she proves it, she's going to be married off to her, rapist. So, I mean, this is probably the reason why we used to always fight this from our elders coming, that you don't invite trouble, you don't dress up like this, you don't go out at night. It's because the onus is on the woman to not get raped. We used to always question ignorantly that how ridiculous, why can't you tell the people not to attack us, why should we not go out at night? That's only because if you get raped, then nobody can help you, even God cannot help you. You prove it, you get married to that guy. You don't prove it, you get stoned. So maybe that's why the whole culture came in of victim shaming, of constantly. It was probably not there in our culture, but this is what happens. And yes, it's pathetic what you see here. And so it's but I was aware for quite some time, but not as growing up. But a lot of people, very, very surprisingly, are not, even today they're not aware. And that's a shocker, that how these 2 billion people are able to hide or keep the such problematic parts of their, which is majority of their write-ups. How can they keep it silent, and how people are so ignorant?
Danilo,
So it is not. Yeah, please go ahead, Jojo.
Danilo, it's if you take Denmark as an example, Sweden is 100% worse, because at least in Denmark they will sentence and they will take them out of the country if they don't have a passport. But in Sweden they get to stay. So in Sweden it become like, I don't know, it's like Afghanistan. I had to move 4 times. 4 times.
Jojo, are you aware what is the percentage of Muslim population in Sweden?
I really don't know the
It's
population
around
because
9% at
it's
the moment.
under the radar.
It's around 9%. And do you know what is the population that
But
makes up the jail? Rape convicts?
Atharviji, I would like to. Jojo mentioned that she had to move 4 times within her own country. Jojo, if you feel comfortable sharing about it, if you can share why would you have
No,
to move four
yeah,
times in
okay.
your own
And then
country?
she mentioned Sweden, right? So I just wanted to tell her the statistics that the
Yes,
population wise they're only 9%. But when it comes to rape convicts, the 56% of rape convicts are Muslim. So that's
it's like
very disproportionate. Yes. Yes.
overrepresentative of Muslims that rape, and they target women that don't wear hijab. That's it, and it says in the Quran. It's like so simple text, and they do it. I never had to be scared to walk with my dog the last pee. I could wear headphones. I cannot go without headphones. Now I have small dogs. When I had my German Shepherd, I wasn't scared, but I didn't have headphones. But really, I had to move 4 times because they even teach their children to hate Swedish just because I have light eyes, and I look Swedish. They're like, I didn't even know the kids, and they're like, Swedish whore, you whore, you're such a disgusting whore. And I'm like, come on, I have never seen you in my life. And they hadn't seen me in my life. But where did you think this comes from?
It comes from their teaching, their conditioning. That's where. So the thing is, I can't even just say that any non-Muslim is game. No, any non-Muslim is game, of course, yes. But even the Muslim women are obviously also just basically they're just an object.
No, it's not. No, absolutely not. I'm gay, and
Not
I have my.
not.
No, I'm just saying, like in
I think
general.
the game, open game. Okay, fair. Anyways, I think
Okay.
beyond. Yeah, Denmark is far better. You say today. That's just a matter.
Absolutely,
it's just
Denmark is better.
It is just a matter of time.
Because Denmark has more balls, because they're willing to deport a whole family if their children do something wrong, and I think that's right. Just kick them out.
Okay.
If we
So
welcome them
let me
to
do one
our
thing.
countries, and we give them roof, we give them free healthcare, we give them dentist, we give them school, we give them everything, and then they go rape us just because we're not Muslims. Should they be allowed to stay here? No.
See, that is your problem, because you
Okay,
are.
so Kiran, once again, let me get the room also back on track. What we were discussing was not generic. This thing we were talking about a very specific topic. The specific topic under consideration is rape, and victim is stoning in Islam. And let me reset the room. So a couple of back channels wanted me to reset the room.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Jojo. So as per the law in multiple Islamic countries, right? I explained what is direct evidence, what is circumstantial evidences. So just to give you an example, in the case of Bikinis Bano, the conviction of the 11 rape victim happened based on circumstantial evidence, and they went ahead and was convicted for 15 years in jail, right? But had it been Islamic countries, like the example that I have quoted in above in the chat, if a woman is unable to prove rape by direct evidences, then not only the case gets dismissed, she is then tried for adultery. The first case that I put up was of Saudi Arabia, where women who seek help for a gang rape done by 3 people or 7, I don't recall. Instead of convicting those 7 people, the girl was punished with 200 lashes and 6 months in prison. The second case that I had posted was from Sudan, where was 13-year-old girl who was initially raped. I have no intelligence to understand how a 13-year-old girl will gather evidence. The burden of proof is on the girl, remember, in Islamic society to prove rape. She was stoned to death. Anybody who interfered was shot. This was not done by the Sudanese government, which I agree, this was done by a terrorist organization there. The third case, which is the Pakistan case, which I have put in, and after this I will put up the Qatar case. In Qatar, a Dutch woman was gang raped. She went and lodged complaint. She was not able to establish the rape, and Qatar judicial system pronounced her guilty of adultery. But thankfully, because of the pressure of the European governments, she was extradited back to her native place. Otherwise, she would have been either stoned to death or sent to jail indefinitely. So there are a couple of cases of Qatar that I will post in. This is not a terrorist organization we are talking about. This is not a tribal court we are talking about. This is the jurisprudence of Islamic nations we are talking about, where a girl, 13-year-old, 18-year-old, 23-year-old, who has initially been raped, unable to prove rape, has been tried and punished for adultery, and the punishment ranges from 200 lashes to stoning to death. Which girl in his right mind in an Islamic society would dare to stand up and go and file a complaint for her rape? If the consequences are that if she's not able to establish rape, she could be stoned to death. I'm just putting up the Qatar case. Nitya ji, SMG, Atharvi ji, anybody else who would like, Kamraj ji, Kiran ji? Yeah.
I just want a very quick thing.
It's I'm sorry. It's so terrible. I have tears in my eyes, and it's so awful. May I put one input when you have
Good. But do it
completed
in 30
the
seconds so that we
list?
can get, yeah.
Yes, this victim list, because it's important. No, I meant you should continue with
Go
these
ahead.
victims.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to add to Andalan's point. One place he mentioned that was given by terrorist organizations a punishment of death stoning. But we need to understand the underlying command of these terrorists and the governments, subsequent governments across the globe is the same. That is the Islamic scripture. So it is nothing on the terrorist organization, it is nothing on the governments, but the primary root cause is the scriptures that demand these actions, inhumanist actions by the people onto their own 50 women or feminine people, that the burden has to be on their side, otherwise severe punishment. And literally, practically, there is no chance somebody could stand up for that one. Thank you.
May I
So
still for 30
yes,
seconds?
Jojo, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Last year, it was two young boys, Swedish children. They were walking home from school. They got attacked by Afghani, so-called alone comers that they always say that they are. They got attacked by them. They got robbed. They got raped. They got buried alive in a cemetery. And it was about these refugees that got housing, everything, clothes, phones, everything. And they go after our children. Yeah. And it's so many, so it's like human, it's so many cases that doesn't go out in the media because Swedish government is so scared to say like we did your shit. And even like and then the sick part is like, oh, we're gonna educate these men or so-called children, men, that we get that they get to stay in Sweden. So we're gonna educate them to get to be healthcare keepers because it's many people don't want to work with dementia and old people and so on. And now it's like popping off rape case after rape case after rape case after rape case. They even rape our old 80, 90-year-old dementia sick persons, and they've been caught. They pull small children to the bathroom and they rape them. What is this? Am I going insane or what's wrong?
Yeah,
That's
Jojo,
your
you are. Yeah. So Jojo, first of all, I understand the pain and suffering your society is going through right now. But we in India have been, going through the suffering from last 600, 700 years continuously unabated. We tried to warn the world multiple times about the dangers of Islam. A lot of European and Americans call us Islamophobic. They want to learn by their own mistakes. But but having said so, Jojo, they cannot be educated into civilization. If for 600 years we have not been able to educate them, I'm sure the Dutch government or the Swedish government would not be able to educate them in 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years. So you are in for more sufferings till the time
I
they are
agree.
around.
I agree. Absolutely, I agree. We're fucked, to say the least, to be dirty in my mouth, because it doesn't stop, because they take over community after community after community. If you get one, they say like, oh, we have to have family immigration, and Swedish people are like dumb, like air balloons. They're like, ooh, boo, boo, boo. Oh, no, we don't need passport. We don't need the birth of the certificate. We don't need to see. And they take like whole of the village in to Sweden, and then what happens? Then we have to rent a whole villa, a house that I even don't have afford to live in, even though I've been working all my life, because it's too expensive in Sweden. But they are very much entitled to live in houses and have beautiful lives, just because if you dare to say maybe you should get a work, no. It was Somali
Sure,
woman.
Jojo. So, Jojo, let me do one thing. I'll come back to you. We want to hear more from you. But, there are other panelists who would like to share. So, Tenali, you wanted to say something.
Yeah,
And,
I
my humble request is to get back into this topic
yeah, Anjulanji,
where
I just
rape and victim stoning, right? We
exactly.
want to stick to it.
I have sent you a link also in the back channel. What has happened means what has happened in Bangladesh, the same thing is happening in Egypt. That the police and the military are using rape as a weapon to kill means to suppress any voice that is coming against the reformation of Islam or anything. I have sent you a link out there means it's and the fun fact it's not only the women but even the men's are being taken away by the police, and when they are trying to
I
complain.
posted the Guardian link. Yeah.
Yeah, so and when they're there, if you read this the whole link, you will understand that when they are going to make a complaint in the Supreme Court or the higher courts of the Egyptian government, they are saying okay, but the police have done this, so there might be a reason. So you don't have any right to make a complaint. So that was a simple answer they had been given. So it has been running since 2014 15, and for 5 6 7 years it's been going. Yeah, these are my
So what you're saying, Tenali, if I can summarize it, what you're suggesting is that within the Islamic population in Egypt, if somebody is trying to push for reforms, the police and administration are rounding them up and raping them, and the judiciary is not, taking those
exactly,
cases.
exactly.
Is that what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying?
exactly the point.
Brilliant. So this is not one of random case where some guys goes and does a sexual offense. It is the policy making body, the judiciary, and the administration, the trio, going ahead and raping people for subjugation.
Yep, that's how they are. And you know what?
And
I
I'm
always
surprised.
I always
Yeah,
want to
Jojo,
go
once again.
to India. It was like my favorite country to go to
Yeah,
10 years, 15
Jojo.
years ago.
Yeah, Jojo,
But
just 1 second.
I never.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jojo, just give me 10 seconds, right? And 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 the reason they call people discussing this topic Islamophobic, isn't that irony? They are raping their own people, and the judiciary, the administration, and the police is involved into raping their own citizens who happen to be Muslims. And if we discuss this, we are to be termed Islamophobic. Vishwamitra bhai, were you aware? Gamraji, आप कुछ बोलना चाह रहे थे? Okay, Gamraji, you go, then I'll come to Vishwamitra subsequently.
Yeah,
Please go.
so as you were discussing, Andolan ji, elements of Islamic jurisprudence, no matter what faith they come from, they do support a mother load of antiquated and bad ideas. They're absolutely not applicable to today's society. What ends up happening is because it is a kind of an immutable religion, completely opposed to any sort of change and flexibility, no matter what has been preached some 1400 years ago, will absolutely be applicable in modern times, no matter what, because apparently to the followers of this religion, it is the word of God. And therefore, it is today, in today's world, it is akin to what Nazism was in the 30s and 40s. It is today's challenge. It is the world's biggest challenge to be met today. Back then, a war took place to resolve these issues. Today, again, we are at the cusp of a time where we, may have to actively respond against them. But the thing here is, as people in India, I don't think help is going to come from anywhere else. We have resisted them for 600-700 years, and we will have to do so all on our own. And this is just the beginning. And therefore, I have only one thing to say over this. मन करे सो प्राण दे, जो मन करे सो प्राण ले, वो ही तो एक सर्वशक्तिमान है। विश्व की पुकार है, ये भागवत का सार है कि युद्ध ही तो वीर का प्रमाण है। कौरवों की भीड़ हो या पांडवों का नीड़ हो, जो लड़ सका वही तो एक महान है। जीत की हवस नहीं, किसी पे कोई वश नहीं, क्या जिंदगी है ठोकरों पे मार दो। मौत अंत है नहीं तो मौत से भी क्यों डरें, ये जाके आसमान पे दहाड़ दो। आरंभ है प्रचंड। It is time for some people to fear.
It's high
And
time
they have another
to.
thing coming.
It's first of all high time to call this
can you
Salah. Just 1 second, Jojo.
tell me what it meant,
Yeah,
if I may ask?
Gamraj, if you can
So
translate that in English.
we'll just do that.
अबे बहुत
Can
लंबा
you
ट्रांसलेशन
like
होगा ये
translate little bit?
That was a. But can you? We will back channel it to you, Jojo. Otherwise, it would be a long one. But the point which I was making is, we can't. We are not even allowed to call this Sada Hua Samaj as Sada Hua Samaj.
Was it like a
One was
warrior song?
yes,
Yeah,
it was.
exactly.
It was like a
Yeah,
warrior
it is
song.
kind of like
Right.
Warrior
Yeah,
song.
but the point
Yes,
which I was
that,
making,
that
Jojo, is with the kind of narrative and the left liberal support to these Islamists. These are the facts, right? The Islamic states across the world are first raping women and then muzzling their voices by threatening them that if they file a rape case against the perpetrators, these rape victims would be charged with adultery, lashed, or stoned to death.
I've
This
seen
is the
that.
depraved society. This is the depraved society we are dealing with.
How can it be? It's so. I just want to cry and scream and everything, because these women that get raped, they don't deserve this. And I've seen that you have to have a witness that sees you have 4 male genitals go inside of you. And if you don't, but come on, if you get raped, when you're gonna get video camera for male genitalia 4 times?
So very recently, this happened to a Dutch woman in Qatar. She was first mercilessly gang raped, and subsequently, on her complaint of the rape to the Qatar authorities, Qatar judicial system hit back to her by applying adultery on her, which is indefinite imprisonment in Qatar. But thankfully, the embassy and the Dutch government focused on this particular case and got this lady out of Qatar. Otherwise, she would have been either stoned to death, 200 lashes would have been punishment for her, and indefinite jail term.
Did you
This
guys
is
see
how,
that? Did you guys see the 2 Norwegian girls
yeah,
that
you
went
can read the
mountain?
article. You can read the article above from BBC.
I was as well, when I was walking my dog. Happily, I had a German Shepherd. If you don't know, if it's a big dog.
Yeah, it's a big dog.
Yeah, and she never ever barks, so she was never ever angry, aggressive. But she showed me that there was some creep, and it was in Muslim society before we got an apartment to move.
Yeah. So, Vishaka, you wanted to say something, and then we'll go to Kiran.
Yeah, so it's absolutely terrible. However, it's common for these people. And if you see, in Pakistan, mein there was a law. I think it was enacted in 2008-9. I might be wrong in the year, just correct me there. It was also similar to this. Ki if you are raped, you need to provide 4 male witnesses. And the whole feminist movement and in Pakistan, whichever, there existed few, they rallied against it and they boycotted this law. Otherwise, there was this law under Sharia, under the Pakistani hudud, the
It
criminal
still is.
aspect of Sharia.
It still is.
No,
So,
I don't think it is still.
it is still.
No, hudud is,
But isn't that
but that 4 male witnesses.
scary? You imagine if it was the twist around. If it was like 1 woman and 4 males, it would never ever happen. But because it's a woman, then it's okay.
So in
Somehow in
Pakistan,
Islam.
Vishaka, once you
I've
complete, I'll tell
seen
you.
so many
Pakistan has
videos
devised.
of.
Just 1 second, Jojo, 1 second, right?
I'm sorry.
So, Vishaka, once you complete, I will tell you there is a new methodology of rape not being criminalized in Pakistan. I will talk about it. It is called rape to matrimony factory, and it is very highly prevalent in Pakistan. But you go ahead, complete your point, and then I'll talk specifically about what's happening in Pakistan.
So that's what it is. So that was there. And apart from that, if you, all these countries where you have typically, and it is all Islamic law, it is derived from the Islamic scriptures. If a woman is raped, you provide 4 male witnesses. And who were the 4 male witnesses? Who saw her getting raped, but they did nothing because they had to be the witness in the court, basically. And a woman can't be a witness because according to the holy scriptures, quote unquote holy scriptures, a woman's testimony is half of that of men. So 4 women equals to 2 men under Islamic law. Apart from that, you're absolutely right that in a lot of these cases, women don't report rape, because if they report rape and they're unable to prove in front of the Sharia court that it is for these 4 male eyewitnesses saw me getting raped, but they did not do anything when I was getting raped because they had to be the witness. You're talking about punishment for adultery. You see these weird BBC documentaries. Even in Somalia, apparently, a woman was charged with adultery. And you know why she was charged with adultery? Because her ex-husband, who used to beat her, was given, he claimed to, just leave her alone. And I mean, according to different jurisprudence, if you leave your wife for a long period of time, according to one jurisprudence, it's already a divorce. According to some, it isn't. And she considered it a divorce, or she was even alleged of, and then she was alleged of doing adultery because she married another guy. And then the punishment was stoning to death, and she somehow escaped Somalia. I think BBC made a documentary on that. It's a very old one. And there was one recently in, I think it was by Vice News. You can see that in Afghanistan. It was under the Taliban. And oh my God, that lady, so I think it's by Vice News. You can watch that. So it was basically a woman who was married to probably a 35, 40-year-old man. When she was 7 or 8 years old, she was married off to him. Yeah, she was literally married for some exchange of some goats. And she was married, and of the marriage, just 1 second, I'm getting a call.
So I've updated the Human Rights Asia report
Andoji, can I continue?
on this.
Yeah.
I thought you were on a call. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vishaka.
Sorry, I got a call. Can I continue, Andoji, if you don't
Yeah,
mind?
yeah, go ahead.
I'll just
Go
take
ahead.
one moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that ordinance, in that, it is absolutely disgusting because that little girl was married at, I think, 7, 8. And the night of the marriage, the guy broke her bones, raped her, broke her bones, basically beat that little girl, and she was admitted in hospital. And after a point of time, it kept on happening to so much extent that she ran away back to her parents' house. But again, the parents forced her to go back, and she went back again. And after a point of time, that guy went to fight for the Taliban.
Did I
Then
lose?
this lady had nothing to
Yeah,
do.
Vishaka,
Vishaka, you were
your
not
voice is breaking up.
Am I audible now?
You're audible now, but can you repeat the last 10 seconds?
Yeah. So this man basically went to fight for the Taliban. He joined the Taliban. He went to fight for it in certain areas of Afghanistan where the Afghanistan government did not have any control. And for many years, he was not there. That girl was probably 8 or 9 when he left her, probably 10. And she turned 20 and he was not back. And after a point of time, the Afghanistan government back then acknowledged that because the guy is not there for such a long time, this is a divorce. And she's divorced, she's free from this marriage. And she married another guy. But when that guy returned back after like probably 20 years or something, when that guy returned back, he accused her of adultery. He and this lady had to go to the Taliban court, and the Taliban court sentenced her to death penalty. And now she's living in hiding in Afghanistan, in a small women's shelter, which is also very TMA. Basically, people don't know about it. It's very hidden. I think Vice covered it. It was so heartbreaking
That's
to see.
terrible. So terrible.
तो तुम्हें क्यों दिक्कत हो रही है विशाखा? वहां
Jojo, it's not terrible. It's
वहां तो लिखा
Islam.
ही है ना, तो उनकी अपनी किस्मत है, वो करने दो उनको.
Of course, it's
नहीं Ricky,
terrible.
अपने
it's
लोगों
not
के
about
बारे में सोचो ना.
नहीं but
Think
one
about
second.
our own people.
one
Why
second,
you
Ricky. First of all,
Ricky,
Ricky,
we are not
नहीं,
hold
हम
on.
अपने
We
लोगों
have
के
to
बारे में ही
be
सोच रहे हैं.
realistic.
आंदोलन जी,
Okay,
if
let's
I
not
may-
everybody,
लोग कैसे
let's
थे?
not everybody
Mute.
speak at the same time.
Guys, mute
Ricky,
yourself.
Ricky, you've just come up. Hold on.
आंदोलन जी, just 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Can I
हाँ,
respond?
yeah.
हम अपने लोगों
अरे
के
वो
बारे में
लड़की
सोच
हिंदू
रहे
नहीं थी ना.
because अरे सुनो बिकॉज ये गंदगी हिंदू ने इसी मान लिया, बट ये गंदगी ना हम अपने यहाँ पे नहीं चलने देंगे. आपने रिसेंटली दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट का वर्डिक्ट
हाँ
सुना
तो
है.
अपने पक्के
ये
हो बस.
गंदगी
अरे
हम यहाँ पे
रिकी
नहीं
होल्ड
चलने
ऑन
देंगे,
मैन.
बाकी वो जिए
है
मरे
ना?
कटे फटे जो मर्जी
Okay,
हो उनका
guys,
बिला.
hold
Acha,
on.
I'm
Guys,
moving
hold
Ricky.
on.
I'm moving Ricky to audience.
Okay,
He's
one
not having
request,
patience.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody unmutes themselves when somebody is talking. This is not an echo chamber. It's a very beautiful topic, and this is an eye-opening. Let's take it as an eye-opening. Let's not, like why are we discussing about what is happening in Middle East country? We need to create awareness. We need to know what is the benefit of staying in India, and these people need to understand that what privilege they are getting staying over here and how they are misusing it. Anyway, Vishaka, go ahead.
So नहीं, I was saying that he's saying how does it matter to us? Well, it matters to us because these people are trying to do the exact same thing here. You have had 3 high courts in the past 3 months justify child marriage under Sharia law in India. It is a problem in India. We will not let this happen in our country. ये गंदगी करनी है, चले जाओ पाकिस्तान.
Right.
आंदोलन जी, अब मैंने आपको एक देखिए वीडियो सेंड किया है. वो आपका वही 2014 या 15 का केस होगा, जहाँ पर आपका एक साथ देखिए 3 लड़की को जो स्टोनिंग था, वो आपका यूट्यूब वो वीडियो आपको मैंने सेंड किया है. आप वो लगा सकते हो उस पे, मतलब पूरा कैसे ये
It
होता था
is too
शूट.
graphic,
Wow.
Tenali.
या
Oh my
Yeah.
God, Denali, can you send me?
या
It
आई
is
हैव
too
माय.
graphic. I
You
won't be
girl,
able to.
you go, girl. I'm gonna leave now, but
Oh, wow.
root for the girls that are victims. I love you, girls. Keep fighting. I love you.
Thanks,
Kiss,
Jojo.
kiss.
Thanks for joining us.
What is the guarantee that this will not happen in India tomorrow?
This is going to happen to everybody, because Atharvi, there are slew of couple of court judgment where young girl as young as 40 converted to Islam and was allowed to marry a Muslim guy. This is in
Yeah.
India.
And it was
Without parents' consent.
Without parent
Parents'
consent.
consent. By the way.
Without parents
And
consent,
POXO will
yes.
not apply. And POXO will
Yes.
not apply, by the way.
Yes.
Yes, because
So
That's a
I
it
good
was
notice.
clearly stated by the court that because it is allowed in Sharia, so you can do it. I mean, that's the biggest problem. We set a precedence that a Sharia law can be applied through a court system, and it takes priority over the constitution of the country. So basically, a crime is a crime, but you put a legit stamp on it. So you're legitimizing a crime, you're legalizing a crime, you are bringing it under the system of what can be done. If you're a Muslim, you can do that because it is allowed in Sharia law, and that's the most disturbing part. And whoever this Ricky guy was, who came up and asked, "Tumhe kya ho raha hai," whatever. This is what if he were not here to hear what Jojo had to say, because people in Europe did not pay attention to what was happening outside. And today they are absolutely suffering this virus, this deadly disease, and not having a vaccination or a cure for it. So it is important to see when a poison is being spread in the atmosphere, sooner or later the wind is going to bring it to all of us. So we don't have that's the kind of stupidity that people have done and are not willing to learn from it as to what is it what is what have we got to do with it. It's happening somewhere else. Let them kill, let them die. If they only kill and die among themselves, welcome. No, they want to kill the world, and they want to bring this poison and this sick mind mentality everywhere. So we have to be aware.
What stops the world to recognize this for the fear of Islamophobia or whatever it no? When we could discuss humans like this could understand why the media cannot discuss on open platform, and why the governments in the example we saw the Dutch one, right? The police is right there. He's telling openly, clearly, what is the way that we can progress from this to little bit acknowledgement that everybody can acknowledge. What would be the options?
Before we move on to that, I'll just be posting the Human Rights Asia report on rape victims in Pakistan. This is a huge concern because Pakistan has made rape a industry altogether. So I'll tell you what happens. There are scores of young girls which are raped in Pakistan, including specifically targeting non-Muslim girls, Sikh girls, Christian girls, Hindu girls, in Pakistan. Step one, there are two. If they go to complain, they are taken to Maulvis and the Sharia courts. The Maulvis tell them, if you file for rape and proven wrong, you will be tried for adultery and maybe stoned to death if you are not able to establish your claim. So they are discouraged from filing rape charges against the men who have done rape. Step two, what they ask the men to do is to marry these young girls. You are aware that in Islamic law, every man is allowed to have up to 4 wives. So he goes ahead, agrees on a meager amount of alimony. Alimony को ये लोग क्या बोलते हैं, क्या कहते हैं,
मेहर
मेहर, yes. 50,000 रुपए, 50,000 Pakistani rupees or 100,000 Pakistani rupees. They would agree to a very small sum of meher, get married to these girls, and they will further go and rape them under the garb of marriage and finally pay them 50,000 or 100,000 Pakistani rupees and divorce them. This is what happening in Pakistan on a daily basis. The rape conviction rate is next to negligible in Pakistan. And this is how women are exploited across Islamic society. Step one, if you cry rape, you have to prove it. If you can't prove it, you would be charged with adultery, either lashed or sent to jail, or worst, even sent to gallows or stoned to death for adultery. Step two, they would have you get married to your rapist for a small sum of alimony, that is to provide him sanction to rape you even further for next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And then he would pay the amount of meher and dissolve the contract of marriage. So cost of raping somebody repeatedly in Pakistan is anywhere between 50,000 Pakistani rupees to 100,000 Pakistani rupees. That's less than $1,000. This is what an Islamic society is for you 101. विश्वामित्र जी, आप पहले कुछ बोलना चाह रहे थे या कोई और कुछ बोलना चाहे? ये ऊपर
नहीं
वाली
नहीं
रिपोर्ट भी पढ़
मैं ये कह रहा था कि ये जो आर्ग्यूमेंट हम देते हैं ना कि यार ये तो उनकी लड़कियां हैं, हमें क्या लेना देना, ये बहुत ही डेंजरस आर्ग्यूमेंट है। क्योंकि आप देखिए जैसे जिस तरह से लव जिहाद बढ़ रहा है, तो आज की हमारी हिंदू लड़की कल मुसलमान हो सकती है और उसी मुस्लिम लड़की को ये लोग जो चाहे कर सकते हैं। तो आई थिंक वी शुड एक्चुअली आल्सो क्लेम आवर पीपल who are being victim of this. I understand कि वो उनमें उनकी भी थोड़ी गलती होती है, लेकिन we shouldn't blame the victim. We should blame this entire institution, which institutionally has mainstreamed all sorts of heinous things. Like मतलब इतनी घटिया घटिया चीजों को इन्होंने mainstream कर रखा है कि आप इसके ऊपर प्रश्न नहीं खड़ा कर सकते। इस निकाह हलाला किस मतलब वर्ल्ड के अंदर, किस प्रोग्रेसिव समाज के अंदर ये ट्रेडिशन एक्सेप्टेड होगी, लेकिन इसको मेनस्ट्रीम किया हुआ है। इसी तरह से आप जो अपना मतलब ये पूरा जो ये एक इनका प्रकोष्ठ चलता है, इसको अंग्रेजी में मैं शब्द नहीं याद कर पा रहा हूँ, पर इनका एक पूरा प्रोग्राम इस तरह से चलता है कि आप किसी भी जानवर या इंसान को अपना पहले अजीज बनाए और फिर अल्लाह के नाम पर उसको शहीद कर दें। ये इन्होंने भाई भाई कह के बांग्लादेशियों के साथ भी किया है, ये तालिबान अपने लोगों के साथ भी कर रहे हैं, पाकिस्तानी खुद अपने भाइयों को मार रहे हैं। आप ये देखिए, ये पाकिस्तानी और तालिबान लड़ाकों ने सबसे ज्यादा अगर किसी एक कौम के लोग मारे हैं, वो मुसलमानों को मारा है। तो ये कहना कि ये इनके अंदर का मसला है और हमको इसको उन पे छोड़ देना चाहिए, ये बड़ा गलत नोशन है। वी शुड कॉल इट आउट बिकॉज उनके अंदर भी काफी ऑप्रेस लोग हैं जो मुक्ति चाहते हैं इस अजीबोगरीब कल्ट से। तो उसकी आवाज जब तक वो नहीं निकालते तब तक हमको उनकी आवाज बनना पड़ेगा और हमको विसिफरसली इसको बोलना पड़ेगा।
नहीं,
इतना
ये
कहना
आपका
चाहता हूँ।
धर्म आपसे कहता है, ये
बिल्कुल
धर्म आपका आपसे डिमांड करता है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
खैर, निखिल जी काफी देर से बोलना चाह रहे
मैं
हैं। बिफोर
एक
आई गो
चीज़
टू ईस्ट, सॉरी, हु इज दिस?
एसएन जी
हाँ, एसएन जी।
मैं सिर्फ एक चीज़ बोलूँगी जो विश्वामित्र जी ने बोला ना रिगार्डिंग कि हमें बात करना पड़ेगा वेदर वी लाइक इट और नॉट, वो बात करे या ना करे। I think we need to start taking all these issues to UNHRC and say that this is what is happening and you are an ignorant. आपका organization कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा है. In fact, you are the one supporting this Islamist in the garb of Islamophobia, and you're not able to give justice in the name of human rights also. So ये पूरा organization जो बना है ना, this is also a very fraud organization which is not dealing with the subject. In fact, they are just being too biased. तो इस चक्कर में एटलीस्ट वो करे ना करे, we have to make sure that we are creating awareness among our people and let them know that tomorrow if you really choose to to find a partner who's going to be from a Islamic cult, or if you're going to convert, तुम्हारा क्या असर होने वाला है, what is the effect if you actually convert. This is a very I think it's a huge responsibility because हमने बहुत देखा है अपने हिस्ट्री में भी, and this has been wiped off very very you know very smartly by not recognizing it. I think that's one thing. I just stop over here. आंदोलन जी, over to you.
Okay.
आंदोलन जी, आपकी आवाज
Sorry.
कट रही है.
But before Kiran, you come in. So before Kiran comes in, let me go to Nikhil and then go to Kiran and then East. Nikhil, you are not audible. You might have to exit and rejoin. Kiran, you were saying something. Go ahead. And then East.
Yeah, like Vishwamitra just mentioned, that's very true. They are within the boundaries, they are not within the boundaries of scripture, they are deprived of expression. Even though they want, a lot of good people will be there, good Muslims will be, they are deprived of that one. And thinking, being a non-Muslim, that they will do a reform, it is not done, because my death sentence is written in this book, and my family members, women and all torturers also written in the book. It is my primary responsibility to shame wherever it possible, so that no there is a, and protect the people who wants to come or become an ex-Muslim, so to advocate for them and give a space for them. So this is a virus ideology. So as long as this whole community becomes ex-Muslim, this virus is going to spread over. There should be we have to speak so clear, loudly out all these things, so that no anybody even thinks about Islam should be even dangerous. It should be treated as if they are doing a very big heinous crime. It should be illegal to practice, like Jainism or whatever what do you call that, Nazi thing and all, right? So those things like that, it should be treated. Or for example, in Andhra or some places, right, if you have books of communism books, right, some of the books are, they will straight away, police will take it. That is the way it should be. Once we have the whole word of mouth comes, somebody captures this book with these satanic verses, he or she should be checked for that kind of a fame, and the society will go to that situation. So it is our responsibility, not their responsibility.
Yeah, can I say something?
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rahul.
one point if I may, Rahulji. Yeah. Andolanji, I have back channeled you the article, and in the article it says, the statistics says that every day 11 rape cases are reported, and in the last 6 years 22,000 rape cases have been reported, and the conviction rate is only 0.3%, and it is because they do not entertain the circumstantial evidence. They want to continue with their barbaric laws. And kindly refer to my DP guys. Andolanji, if you can pin up that article, it also says that the Supreme Court of Pakistan, it says that the DNA alone is not sufficient to award capital punishment. So the reason
Wow.
why, yes, Andolanji. So I had a doubt that what you said, I have now confirmed it, Andolanji. The reason they only convict 0.03% of the rapists, it's because of they do not entertain the circumstantial evidence. Thank you.
और ये पाकिस्तानी कल बिल्किस बानो के केस में इंडिया के ऊपर इंगली उठा रहे थे। अगर बिल्किस बानो का रेप पाकिस्तान में हुआ होता तो बिल्किस बानो के ऊपर अडल्टरी का केस चल रहा होता।
अरे आंदोलन जी, आप पाकिस्तानियों क्यों बोल रहे हैं? वहाँ पे इंडियन मुस्लिम्स जाके खुद मतलब वहाँ पे बोलते हैं कि हमारे साथ ये हो रहा है, इंडिया में वो हो रहा है। When your own brothers are doing that, तो आप
No,
पाकिस्तानियों
they are
क्यों
not
blame
my
कर रहे हैं?
brothers.
आप किसी भी
They are not my brothers.
मतलब आप किसी पाकिस्तानी रूम में चले जाइए, वहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा एंटी इंडिया बातें इंडियन मुस्लिम से करते हैं। जैसे यहाँ पे हो गए मुगल मुगल तरफदार, ये सब थॉर। तो आप मतलब
हाँ, तो मैं वही पॉइंट कह रहा था कि ये if it was a Islamic country, these 11 rapists who were there in Bilkin Bano case, not only they would have been set free on the day one, instead Bilkis Bano would have been tried for adultery. Here in India, thankfully that girl was in India, whose trauma I can certainly, nobody can assess the pain she went through, but at least her rapist was sentenced and put in prison for 15 years. Had it been Pakistan, she would have probably either been tried for adultery or married off for 50,000 to 100,000 Pakistani rupee to one of the rape criminals. This is Sada Hua Samaj for you gentlemen.
आंदोलन जी, बस मैं एक पॉइंट बोलूँगा कि इस्लाम जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं, इस्लाम इज गोइंग टू ग्रो। मतलब जहाँ पे डेमोक्रेसी होती है ना, वहाँ पे मतलब इस्लाम फैलता है। दे कैन बी ओनली कंट्रोल्ड बाय डिक्टेटर। आप देख लीजिए, मतलब ड्यूरिंग ब्रिटिश टाइम जो प्रिंसली स्टेट थे, वहाँ के मतलब मुस्लिम्स काफ़ी मतलब जेंटलमैन थे। दे वर वेरी सेकुलर। क्यों? क्योंकि वहाँ पे डिक्टेटरशिप थी। जहाँ पे डिक्टेटर रहेगा, मतलब अथॉरिटेरियन रूल रहेगा, वहीं पे मतलब मुस्लिम्स कैन बी कंट्रोल। वरना तो हम खड़े से बातें करते हैं, वो तो ग्राउंड पे काम कर ही रहे हैं। वी कैन ओनली स्प्रेड अवेयरनेस एंड एज यू नो दैट एक्शन स्पीक्स लाउडर देन वर्ड्स। तो मतलब जो उनका वो एक्शन ग्राउंड पे काम कर रहे हैं, हम उसके अगेंस्ट बोल रहे हैं। और बोलते भी है तो मतलब क्या बोलते हैं लोग? बोलते हैं यू आर बीइंग इस्लामोफोबी। जैसे आपके अगेंस्ट एक रूम लगा है कि ना आंदोलन इज स्प्रेडिंग हेट। क्यों लगा? क्योंकि आप इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हो। मतलब वो लोग कर सकते हैं, प्रमोट कर सकते हैं।
Which is what I've challenged them. Which is what I've challenged them multiple times. They call me Islamophobic. They call me hater. They call me hate spreader. This entire room is recorded. All the rooms that I have ever created in detailed discussion room are all recorded and available. Just go through them. We talk about news reports. We talk about facts. We talk about human report data from Human Report Asia. We are talking about BBC reports. We are talking about Guardian reports. We are talking about New York Times reports. We are talking about Al Jazeera reports. If your society is punishing young girls for being raped, the hate is in you, not in me, of pointing out that please allow young girls or women in general to have a decent life in any society across the globe, including Islamic society. Till the time you are doing that, till the time you are not reforming, irrespective of what names you call anybody else, people are gonna call out your hypocrisy. They are gonna call out your Sada Hua Samaj as Sada Hua Samaj. Come here, talk. We provide platform to every viewpoint. Come here, justify. Why would you charge a girl with adultery? Why would you not accept DNA semen samples as evidence for rape? This is not what I am saying. This is a report which is pinned above, which is saying that the Pakistan Supreme Court chooses to let rape convicts walk free because it chooses not to accept DNA sample as evidence. This is your Sada Hua Samaj.
You know, Andolan ji, right now I think there is a need internationally that all of us, all the societies around the world who feel similarly about Islamism and political Islam and Islamists in general, and the kind of nasty obstinacy when it comes to their violent behavior and the justification thereof, there is a need for all of us to unite together and work together in congruence, wherein it has to be understood that, you know, when you talk about anti-Semitism, for example, yes, there is a problem in terms of telling people of Jewish persuasion that sometimes things have been pushed too hard. However, they are justified in doing that as well, because they have been subject to persecution. When you look at Islam and political Islam and Islamic societies, they have been complicit in persecuting every other society in the world. Therefore, to treat quote-unquote Islamophobia in the same light as anti-Semitism, that is wrong. We should all organize together, not only rely on international institutions such as the UNHRC and whatnot, and lead charge in terms of cancelling or in terms of countering intellectually the kind of intellectual malaise they've built in, Western world and Western academia. And we should counter Islamophobia narrative, quote unquote, with facts, figures, and more ideas, more sophisticated ideas, more articulate ideas. One of the ways to defeat Islamism is to fight an intellectual battle with them. Absolutely, street power is required because these are not people who actually believe in talking. They believe in violence. But another battlefield is the battlefield of intellectualism. And when you start winning that war, more and more people will join you. That's what needs to happen, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Gamraj, but see the way they get the trick. One of the trick they do this get away with this is because when it comes to Kashmir, it is Kashmir Pandit's problem. When it is a Dutch, it is Dutch and Islamic problem. The Dutch and somebody's local problem. When it comes to Palghar, it's not Palghar. Somewhere in this Andhra Pradesh, some places there. No, it is that local problem. They are very tactically uses media to not to go to the root cause, which is Islam and their scriptures. So
and we need to respond.
Yeah,
we need to respond.
Exactly, and that responsibility should across the globe. That across the globe, unwrapping this one, unwrapping that camouflage effects. So that common thread, one of the basic thing we have to acknowledge across the globe, whatever the common ideology says. So even though the name, whatever we put the name, we have to have Islam and their scriptures and Muhammad as the common factor. Unless we come to common terms across the globe with these basic words, we will not. It will be very tough for getting united across the globe because we will be diluted with different names.
You know, sir, I just want to make a quick response because others also are wanting to talk. Sir, there is a very common theme here. Western societies actually believe in talking to them. We, on the other hand, we know how they operate. Especially with regard to people in Pakistan, when you talk to them upfront and you say, listen, dude, I know what you're doing. I see through you. I can see as clear as day what you're up to. That's when they panic. That attitude should be replicated. And Western world must understand that these are not people that you have a conversation with. that part is just for them to like utilize against you and weaponize your own societies. For them, it's a battle anyway, whether it is in the universities, in academia, or it is out there in the streets. The point here is that you need to see through them. You need to see through their designs and tell them that we know what you're up to.
अच्छा, मेरा क्वेश्चन है गमराज, विश्वामित्र, आंदोलन जी से, मतलब आने वाले 20-25 सालों में हम क्या फ्यूचर देखते हैं इन जिहादियों का, मतलब व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इट, मतलब ये लोग बढ़ेंगे कि इनके पावर्स कम होंगे, इन्फ्लुएंसेस कम होंगे, क्या होगा मतलब आने वाले 20-25 years में?
So,
Different. Go ahead, Andar.
किरण आप बोलना भी चाह रहे थे, आप बोलिए, फिर मैं आ जाता
No, I was saying is that is only relatively proportional to non-Muslims vocal about it and demand our local people and local places to acknowledge upfront this is what the scripture. The way we discuss now this has to go to the next level of be discussing in the medias. They will hide. The moment this does not grow, we will be continuously attacked by this Islamic halal money and so many stuff is there. No, we will be sidelined. So, to your question, it is directly proportional to how we vocally tell our families and friends and keep on keeping this one alive. The discussion.
So, anybody else would like to?
Yeah. I wanted to respond to that as well. See, it is just a projection for now, but it is expected that as the petrodollar situation gets weaker.
But Gamraji, you said that West is a society which believes in talking to Islamist. How true is that? And we are the society who knows them in and out.
No,
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure
saying
if
that
that
we.
statement is true.
I'm not sure we'll absolutely know them in and out, but as I was responding to the other question, maybe you'll have your answer, ma'am, from that as well. And the basic point that I was making was that the projection seems to be that as the petrodollar sort of situation gets weaker, the unlimited supply of money, extra money, which was being sort of channeled into all of these nasty things that they pull around the world, that is going to dry out. Even as they diversify in the Middle Eastern countries into other businesses, things will absolutely not be the same. The kind of unending supply of money for extra curricular activities, so to speak, that they had, it's not going to be the same. You're much more cognizant of 10, 20 businesses if you have than one thing which works really, really well, right? And it virtually ensures that you will have an unending supply of money. So as that situation gets weaker, you will find that there is a level of retraction in the audacities and the out and out street violence, and all these organizations such as the Taliban and the ISISes of the world, and these things will become lesser and lesser, more weaker and weaker in terms of their power. So their peak period has already been hit. But what I am more concerned about is them entering into Western intellectual paradigms and Western academia. They've always been there, but today they are stronger than ever. I am more concerned about how much cultural, academic, and intellectual space is afforded to them in European and North American societies. Perhaps in North America, because of the sheer numbers, it is not going to be very, very significant. Right now, they cry a lot because of a sort of a general fervor around the Islamist sort of aspirations of the world. And Muslims around the world who associate with extreme radical kind of views on that end. But Europeans are seeing increasing number of these people, and they're unable to contain them in many, many ways. Now, as they grow in influence, what is a major concern is that their presence in Western intellectual spaces will become hardened. And as such, it will become an increasingly difficult situation to fight with them if they control academic as well as intellectual narratives around the world. Which is why I'm telling you, the next phase of this battle has to be fought intellectually. Absolutely, street power will always be something that is there, but you have to counter them intellectually. They should not crystallize into a much more dangerous thing than they already are. That's a very, very big concern. I know it doesn't seem like that right now, but that's the future as I see it. आंदोलन जी.
हाँ, मैं कुछ कहना चाह रहा था. आंदोलन जी बोल लीजिए.
गो हेड विश्वमित्रा जी.
बोल लीजिए सर.
ये जो कंसर्न है ना, ये बहुत लाजमी कंसर्न है, और इसकी काफी हद से आप मतलब ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी का आप अभ्यास करें तो उसमें कहीं ना कहीं इसके जवाब मिलेंगे. ये रहा है कि एक मास को जब एनार्की दिखती है तो मास चाहती है कि कोई बड़ा कंट्रोलिंग सा कल्चर, कोई रिलीजन इनके ऊपर आए जो सबको बराबर लाइन में रखे, सबको डिसिप्लिन रखे, क्योंकि ये जो एनार्की है, जो केओस है, जिसको एब्राहमिक वर्ल्ड व्यू ने हमेशा से एनिमी माना है, और ये बड़ा बुनियादी अंतर है हमारे वर्ल्ड व्यू में और उनके वर्ल्ड व्यू में. हमारे यहाँ केओस इज ए पार्ट ऑफ द कॉस्मिक process, and it's a very functional chaos, not a dysfunctional chaos. But the Western and Abrahamic point of view is totally opposite to that. So what happens that the moment you start becoming, for example, you say that ये chaotic, इतने सारे religion नहीं चाहिए, इतने सारे वो नहीं चाहिए, gods नहीं चाहिए, हमें एक चीज पकड़ा दो, हम उसको पकड़ के religion चलाएंगे. तो फिर आपने देखा होगा कि आजकल जिस तरह से सिक्खी का हाल हो रहा है, सिक्खी बन रही है इस्लाम का एक मिरर इमेज, दाढ़ी और खाली पगड़ी लगाकर, और वो इसीलिए हो रहा है क्योंकि उनकी जो कांस्टेंट डिजायर है मोनोथिज्म की तरफ, वो उनको इस तरफ ले जाती है. तो यही बात जो गमराज कह रहे थे और उससे पहले कोई कह रहे थे, वो ये बहुत समझने वाली बात है. अमेरिकन एकेडमिक सिस्टम में जिस तरह से इनकी जो लड़ाई है हार रहे हैं अगर कैपिटलिज्म से, तो उनके पास और कोई अलाई नहीं बचता बिसाइड्स इस्लामिस्ट. अरे अमन भाई थोड़ा रुक जाओ यार. तो इनका और कोई अलाई नहीं बचता, वो इस्लामिस्ट. तो इस्लामिस्ट जरूर जिएंगे, और वो इंटेलेक्चुअल स्पेस पे जिएंगे, और वो उस नाम पे जिएंगे कि दे आर द ओनली अल्टरनेटिव टू द ग्लोबल chaos एंड कैपिटलिस्ट ऑर्डर. और ये जो प्रोपेगेंडा है, इसके विक्टिम फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज के लोग बनेंगे. और आपको लगता है कि ये बड़ा अजीब है, कौन बनेगा? आप देखिए, जब जितने भी आईएसआईएस के रिक्रूटर्स थे, रिक्रूटेड थे, और सबसे मतलब जिन्होंने क्रूअल्टी की है, वो फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड कंट्री से आते थे, और वो एक्चुअली दे वर नॉट बोर्न एंड रेज्ड इन मुस्लिम फैमिलीज. अ लॉट ऑफ देम वर न्यू कन्वर्ट्स. तो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू रिमेम्बर कि इसका फ्यूचर ये है कि जब जो गमराज कह रहा था, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात कह रहा है. हम लोग सोचते हैं कि स्ट्रीट पावर जरूरी है, बिल्कुल जरूरी है, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा इंटेलेक्चुअल पावर भी जरूरी है, क्योंकि जब तक हमने इसके नैरेटिव को नहीं तोड़ा, ये जो केओटिक, ये जो बहुदेववाद, ये जो बहु प्रॉफिटवाद को ये सिन बताते हैं, इसको जब तक हमने एड्रेस नहीं किया, बिकॉज इट्स एन इंटेलेक्चुअली वेरी रॉन्ग प्रपोजिशन इंटेलेक्चुअली, कि सत्य आखिरी है, अल्लाह की तरफ से भेजा गया, उसके बाद कोई दूसरा सत्य आ ही नहीं सकता. दिस इज समथिंग दैट ए साइंटिफिक सोसाइटी वुड नेवर एक्सेप्ट. लेकिन इसको एक्सेप्ट किया जा रहा है, मेन स्ट्रीम किया जा रहा है. इसको अगर जब तक हम नहीं एड्रेस करेंगे, तब तक ये अमृत कुंभ जो है ना, जो रावण के नाभि में बैठा हुआ था, जिससे रावण के जितने भी आपने सिर काटे फिर बाद से सिर उगाते थे, वो उसका कारण था वो अमृत कुंभ. ये अमृत कुंभ इनका ये है. जब तक हम इसको एड्रेस नहीं करेंगे, तब तक ये आइडियोलॉजी का भविष्य जो है उज्जवल ही है.
और आपने ना विश्वमित्र जी, आपने एक बहुत डेंजरस चीज की तरफ और इशारा कर दिया है. वेस्टर्न सोसाइटी, ठीक है, लार्जली चर्च बेस्ड सोसाइटी था, क्रिश्चियन सोसाइटी था. एवर सिंस द चर्च हैज लॉस्ट इट्स ग्रिप in Western societies, you will see that a lot of lost people, lost men and women, let's not leave out jihadis who are, women as well. Samantha Luthwaite, one of the one of the world. I mean, she is the biggest Islamic terrorist in the entire history of the UK. She was the mastermind behind the 7/7 attacks in London. So you see a lot of the deracinated Western people in search of a newer story, a story that was not answered well enough by the Bible. So they are looking at something that came 1400 years later, and yeah, I mean, conveniently, the same biblical story starts making a whole lot of sense when they read into something which came around, much after Christianity, right? So that is actually inspirational to a lot of people who are deracinated and are identityless in their own society. Their own society is falling apart, so they seek answers elsewhere in different cultures, right? And that's when Islam becomes a very, very attractive proposition for them. So everything that is proposed in the most extremist annals of Islam becomes very, very appealing to them. This whole idea of end of days and end of nights, and how we will build a sort of utopia and whatnot, it is very appealing to those people in societies which are fundamentally broken, and the West is going through that situation right now. So it's a very, very dangerous idea. That's what the appeal with political Islam is also. It has to be countered intellectually, otherwise there's no way out of it.
Gumraji, can I one clarification, if I may? You said they will now control the narrative in the West, but Gumraji, in this information age, do you think anybody can control the narrative? मतलब एक सच मतलब 100 झूठ चाहिए. One truth is sufficient to expose the entire lies.
So I'll tell you, East.
I didn't say they will control the narrative.
So
that's not what I said.
They are controlling the narrative.
I agree. They will.
So yeah. So what happens, East is, they are there is complete thing. I was just when we started the room, there are a lot of articles where a 16-year-old girl was who was a rape victim. She was tried for adultery and sent to gallows. Those articles are currently missing from web, right? They work effectively. They have a complete wing to work with governments and media to put forward their position in soft terms so that they can create that understanding among the media houses and the government and the liberal NGOs, so on and so forth. So far, they have been very successful because they had only few powerful people to deal with. They were able to convince them not to, take on Islam. They would divert, right? So let's say if any Islamist come to this debate, his first response would be, this is not Islam. This is a distorted law by Pakistan, or this is a distorted law by Saudi Arabia. This is not Islam. Then you ask them, show me a country where Islam is applicable. No, currently there is no country in the world where Islam is applicable. So then you ask them, then Islam is not practical to be implemented. No, Islam is the most practical thing to be implemented. It is just that Islamists don't implement it. So they keep on diverging that so that the blame, they would throw some people under the bus, right? Like, this Imam of Peace, if you have heard him on Clubhouse couple of times, he would come on Clubhouse application, throw a few Pakistani under the bus, throw a few Sudanis under the bus, but they will never address the core issue that this is an Islam problem. And I have had drinks with Indian media personnel. A lot of us believe that they are compromised, they may take money. But over a period of time, these Islamists have worked with them to change and alter their mind in a way that if you report on issues or even crimes committed by Muslims as Muslims committing that crime, the Indian society would probably develop a phobia against Muslims, and it would not be conducive for the broader Muslims who are moderate. So I've been told not by 1, 2, but at least 20 people in print and electronic media that they purposefully, when a crime is committed by a Muslim, they do not name it because they genuinely believe if they report the news at it is, it will cause Islamophobia in the society. Just recall an incident from 6 months back when a Muslim guy went inside a Jew's temple and took few Jews as hostage. The American media was openly discussing we should not name this individual as Muslim, otherwise there would be repercussions against Muslim Samaj in America. This is the level they have gone ahead and implemented their thought process into the minds of people who have who talk to them. So they are controlling the initiative. They will call people like me. So and I have repeated that many a times. All my rooms are recorded in this club, detailed discussion. Pick up any rooms. I'm doing these rooms from last 7-8 months. Topic after topic. Show me a single trace and evidence of hatred, Islamophobia. We are just talking and discussing news reports, events, contemporary societal issues. I prefer also not to go into scriptures. It is they who take us to scriptures. They will come up, they will say this is not Islam, this is few Muslims doing bad things. Then somebody from our side will say this is what is written in Quran, this proves that this is part of a scripture. Then they will say no, but you are taking this out of context, so read the Tawhif or read the Sharia, God knows what, all logic. And then after wasting the time for 45 minutes, they will come to a conclusion, yes, it is written, so what, it has a alternate viewpoint as well.
No, but आंदोलन जी, see, these people are very उनके दिमाग सिर्फ एक तरह से जाता है, in a straight way, right? They follow the scriptures. They've been told not to question. They're told not to doubt. लड़कियों को बोला है कि अगर आपको डाउट होगा या आपके मन में क्वेश्चन है तो आपको सिरदर्द हो जाएगा. This is these people go and talk to ask Maulvi for their doubts, right? This is a reply that I have seen online that a Maulvi has given कि आप अपना ज़्यादा दिमाग मत यूज़ करो क्योंकि आपको सिर दर्द हो जाएगा. So you don't do this and blindly follow the Prophet Muhammad and Allah. So what else can you expect from them? But एक चीज़ है यहाँ पे आंदोलन जी.
What the key point SM is, whether Muhammad used to do it, whether the Sahabas used to do it, that's not the point of discussion after 1400 years. The point under discussion after 1400 years is, are girls getting raped in Islamic society? Yes. Are they getting justice? No. Are they pressurized by adultery laws not to report rapes? Yes. Are they being married to their rapist for 50,000, 100,000 Pakistani rupee meher? Yes. Are they being divorced after 3, 4, 5 months?
Yes.
And having the rape victims being given legal sanction to be raped by their rapist? Yes. So we also do a mistake of going into scriptures time, and I'm to screw with what is written in the scriptures. You are doing this right now, you gotta change it.
I have to.
अच्छा एक सवाल है.
विश्वामित्र जी, मेरे पास सिर्फ 2 पॉइंट्स है ऐड करने के लिए यहाँ पे. वन इज, मैं पहले वाला अभी जो हम बात करें उससे रिलेटेड बात कर लेती हूँ. ये तो हमने सुना भी है ना, इमरान खान व्हेन ही वाज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ पाकिस्तान, उन्होंने क्या बोला था इन द इंटरव्यू कि लड़कियों को हिजाब पहनना चाहिए बिकॉज यू आर प्रोन टू being raped, because the men cannot control their lust, right? So he has put the whole blame of being raped by a man on the woman, on the Muslim aurat, right? दूसरी बात, when we were talking about previously, I think Kiran C was talking about, East was talking about, this is all is happening in the, this has been happening in the past. And we know that they have segregated the thing. For them, the target is the Kashmiri Hindus, or, they do it very selectively because they divide us. Okay, and now that we know that they are dividing us, it's high time, forget about the leftist. forget about them who do not want to even address, they don't want to even acknowledge such things, who want to do appraisement policy. Let them get going up, let them keep going about with it. But at least whoever has realized and has and is accepted that there is a problem, we need to start addressing that. At the end of the day, we are all Hindus, whether be it a Hindu from a south, whether be it a Hindu from a Kashmir, whether be it a Hindu from any part of Bharat or outside Bharat. As long as he's a Sanatani, he's a Bharatiya, whether be it NRI or not, it doesn't matter. We have to stand for each other. That should be our goal in the forthcoming time, that this is something that we need to start creating awareness among our people, and tell that first people who should stand with you should be your own people, your own family members, your own people from your own dharma. That's when we'll be able to really fight, and we'll be able to establish this dharmic land. Because right now what we are doing is we are trying to fight with the adharmic. And just one more small point, Andolanji, which you were talking about these leftists, right, or this news media. ये इनके साथ आज नहीं हो रहा है. They are not started talking it's not the first time that they are not addressing any issues or any rape that was done by the Muslims, where they don't openly say that it's a Muslim guy who has done it. We have seen in every case which has happened in India, अगर जहाँ पे भी एक मुसलमान उसमें involved है, very conveniently they have not spoken about it, they've deleted that part, they've kept quiet, and they have attacked only one particular set of people, community people. ये हम भी जानते हैं from the Hindu community, right? So their agenda is very clear. What we need to do is, we know what is happening, we know exactly how they are doing it, and that's what matters. If we are able to address those issues and we are able to tackle those issues in the forthcoming days, we are not going to be behind them. If we cannot set the narratives, at least we can start being vocal about it. Be it anywhere, make it as a very normal conversation. मेरे को ये नहीं समझ आता है, हम लोग को, मैं फिर से बोल रही हूँ, हम लोग बाहर जाते हैं, हम लोग को शर्म आती है कि people will get sensitive if we talk about certain issues in the public place. Why is it still a taboo? Why are we being so sensitive towards a topic which is so relevant and which is so important? ये हमारी भी mistake, and we have to start correcting it. We have to keep telling it openly that this is the problem, and start naming it openly that this is the community, not say religion. Not every religion is same. I think that's very clear that we need to start doing it.
Consider, what happened with the...
Let Vishwamitra ji speak, and then Kamraj will get you in.
Sorry, Kamraj. Just wanted to, because I'm in the middle of some work, so I have to leave soon. My question is that, in this modern era, which society can get away with saying that we do not need to be reformed? Everybody else is getting reformed around. Christians got reformed. Judaism got reformed. Sanatan Dharma got reformed. Buddhism got reformed. Atheists got reformed. But the more and more countries are acknowledging LGBTQ rights, that's a reform. But there's one country, one nation, I would say nation, not country, one nation, a nation of Islam, who refuses the idea of reformation, says there is no need to reform Islam. How is that being mainstreamed? And what is that these guys are scared of? Because women want reform, Islamic women want reform. That's why they waited for the Hindu government to come, and they protested against triple talaq and got rid of triple talaq legally. Although as a community they are still practicing, but legally they were able to get rid of it, and that's the reform. So why is this anti-reform stance, and why the world is even acknowledging it? We shouldn't tolerate this. If somebody doesn't want to reform, we should ask them that you sort your stuff together, because our own people are getting targeted by that.
Because they have a power of petrodollar, Vishwamitra. मतलब
No, it's not
इसमें बहुत वो
petrodollar. I
होता
tell
है.
But
you,
for
this
how
is
long?
not
No,
petrodollar.
this
This
was
is an
even before
intellectual.
petrodollars.
No, this is an
This is
intellectual
despite of
dishonesty.
petrodollar, they are not ready to
It's called
reform.
citation loop. Have you heard of citation loop? किसी बॉम्ब से कम नहीं है. तुम जो न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब होता है ना, उसकी इम्पैक्ट जनरेशन तक रहती है. साइटेशन लूप भी उसी चीज का नाम है. एक बार आपने किसी चीज को लिख दिया, एस्टेब्लिश कर दिया, 4-5 ऑथर्स ने उसको साइट कर दिया, अब आप उसको डिसमेंटल नहीं कर सकते.
वो घूमता रहेगा.
एस्टेब्लिश ट्रुथ के अलग लाइन नहीं ले सकते आप.
और चाहे उसका रियलिटी में कुछ रूट्स हो या ना हो, because somebody has said it, so now it is being quoted again and again and again. Nobody bothers to check the roots of whether it is fact or fiction in the first place whenever it was said for the first time. So of course that is there, but I was pointing at a very simple thought experiment. I did it at a personal level, and I think other people have all done this, when the recent attack on Salman Rushdie happened. And it was, fascinating to me how much it's the same thing always, the same story. So when the attack happened, the narrative that was run on across all social media platforms and news media around the world, one single thing: we don't know what the identity of that person is, so we should not talk about it. If you talk about that person who attacked Salman Rushdie assuming his identity, that means that you are being Islamophobic, right? Then the name comes out. Turns out that he has an Islamic name, right? And before that, I had been asking people, so what if we find out that this person is a Muslim and he did it for Islam? What he did it for Islam. Then the answers, even before the guy's name had come out, were then that in that case, that person will not be a Muslim. So if a terrorist comes out to be Muslim and he's saying that I have done it for Islam, Muslims are going to then tell you that this person is not a Muslim. On the other hand, inside their own little circles and in their own living room, drawing room conversations, the conversation will always be one thing, that whatever was done to Salman Rushdie, for example, by that person, he had it coming because he disrespected Islam in some way, shape or form. Which means that in the privacy of their own comfort, of their own conversations, they acknowledge to each other that whatever a terrorist has done, he is a Muslim. But for you, for public consumption, that they will say that he's a non-Muslim. He's not, ye Muslim hai hi nahi. This person is not a Muslim. So this is a very, very dangerous thing. They are hypocritical and they are proud of it. We need to fight this. There is no other way out of it. It has to be fought intellectually.
My request to all the 50 people sitting now and over 400 people who have visited this room, and is to ensure this pointing out these kind of factual errors in the society or dirt in the society. It's only gonna help society. Don't be afraid to be called out in Islamophobic or by whatever names. You raising your voice against injustice is your dharma. You sitting quiet is not allowed as per dharma. Take up this cause. Spread the evil of this Sada Hua Samaj to every nook and corners of your connect, your mutuals. People who are not wanting to believe it, show them the recording of such rooms where details are established by news articles, by research report, by using credible journalistic sources. People who say every society is problem, every society has crimes, I agree. But not every society legislate the prosecution of rape victims. It is only one society who does that. That is Islamic society. There is only one society, which is the Islamic society, who pressurizes rape victims to get married to their to the person, to their rapist. And this is Islamic society who provides unequivocal right to a man to dissolve his marriage without even giving any single reason, just by paying the amount of contractual money and calling of the marriage. So a man rapes a girl in an Islamic society. The girl is afraid to file a complaint, because if she's not able to establish, and this is why she would not be able to establish, the above link, where Pakistani Supreme Court does not accept DNA samples as a evidence. So
Because
she would
that's as per Sharia, right? It doesn't allow
yeah,
as per Sharia.
yes. Whatever be the reason, the Pakistani Supreme Court would not convict a rapist on the basis of DNA evidence. And if the girl is not able to establish the rape, she would be tried reverse for adultery in Islamic societies. So she's pressurized by her family, by her Maulvis, to marry the rapist. Even if the rapist is already a married Middle East guy, Islam allows 4 marriages to men. These rapists will marry these rape victims for a mere amount of 50,000, 100,000 Pakistani rupees. That is anywhere between $250 to $2,000. They would get a legal sanction to rape them even further, because a girl in a marriage cannot say no to sexual intercourse by a Muslim husband. This again is law. And after raping her for another 3 to 6 months, this guy has the full authority to divorce this girl after paying him $250 to $1,000, and he has an absolute right to divorce her without giving any reason. Just he has to pay the amount of mehr. This is Islamic society legal sanction to rape any woman, Muslim, non-Muslim, and this is how the entire rape factory works in Pakistan. Out of the 22,000 cases reported every year, last year only 76 conviction happened. I am quoting you again the numbers. Out of the 22,000 rape cases filed, only 76 conviction happened in Pakistan last year. 0.3%.
So आंदोलन
This
जी बेसिकली
So, Ando
इस्लाम
sir,
एक
ऐसा
मिनट बीजी जी मैं एक चीज़
yeah.
बोल देती हूँ. सो आंदोलन जी एक तो आप अपना बैक चैनल चेक कर लीजिए. डोंट यू थिंक इस्लाम इज एक्चुअली नॉर्मलाइजिंग रेप in every form and way?
they are not normalizing. It is Islamic society is encouraging
Exactly.
rapes. Islamic society is discouraging women to file charges against rape.
So, Ando sir, do all we think, are they going to change? I don't think so.
No,
So
it doesn't
so
matter.
so what
listen,
we have to
listen,
do,
listen,
BG?
listen. Yeah, that's why I'm saying. क्योंकि हम जानते हैं कि उनका वो लास्ट प्रॉफिट है और जो उनकी किताब है उस पे क्लियर लिखा हुआ है कि बस यही आपकी किताब है एंड यू हैव टू फॉलो इट. तो हम कितना भी सोसाइटी में रूम चला ले, कुछ भी इनको समझा ले, सर अंदर खाने ये आपको ऊपर
आपके दोस्त बनेंगे, सब कुछ करेंगे, लेकिन अंदर खाने ये अपना ही, चाहे वो कोई भी मुस्लिम हो, कितना
हाँ
पढ़ा लिखा हो, वो अंदर खाने अपना ही, वो जो इनका बुक है उसी को फॉलो
हाँ
करें।
बिल्कुल आप सही कह रहे हैं बीजी भाई।
ये बदले
हाँ
या ना
मैं
बदले
एक
इससे मतलब ही
हाँ
नहीं
मैं
है।
आंदोलन जी,
एक
आंदोलन जी,
सेकेंड रघु भाई। हाँ
एक
मैं
क्वेश्चन।
ये एक कर लीजिएगा पर मैं बीजी भाई का रिस्पॉन्स कर दूं। बीजी, दिस इज द सेम थिंग वी थॉट अबाउट नाजीज नियर द वर्ल्ड वॉर 50-70 years back. What society did, they shamed this behavior. They made the life of every Nazi ideologist miserable, and they had no option but to change.
But
This is what we have to do to
but
Islamists.
Andolji, you have to
So
We would
we can
shame
compare,
them.
acknowledge that there are 2 billion.
Ando sir,
There,
logic question. So can we compare उस समय का पॉपुलेशन कितना था
नहीं
नाजीज का
बीजी
या
जी,
मुस्लिम्स का, या
बीजी जी
एक
कुछ
मिनट
चीजें
सर,
ना, कुछ चीजें शाश्वत सत्य होती हैं, ठीक है।
नहीं
ये
नहीं नहीं मेरा देखिए
संभव है, ये इसको संभव है करना, आपको
सर,
एक विल
मैं
जनरेट करनी पड़ेगी।
सर
लेकिन मैं एक चीज कह रहा हूं, बस आप ही की बात को रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा हूं। मैं बस इतना कह रहा हूं कि ये बदलें या ना बदलें, जिए या मर जाएं, आसमान में बैठे कि नाले में जाके गिर जाएं, इससे हमको मतलब नहीं है। हमको जीवित रहना है। ये
आपको
हमें मारते रहें, काटते
नहीं
रहें और हम
नहीं
कुछ ना
सर,
करें, ये
आपने
ठीक नहीं है।
मेरा पॉइंट सुना नहीं। जिस समय आंदो सर कह रहे हैं नाजीज को हमने पूरा शेम्ड किया और वो चेंज हुए और लोगों ने माना उसको, पूरे यूनिवर्स में माना। मेरा ये कहना है सर, उस समय की पॉपुलेशन इनकी और आज की पॉपुलेशन इनकी या हमारी, हम कंपेयर करें तो हम कहाँ खड़े होते,
जी
या
मैंने
वो
आपका आंसर,
हमसे
मैंने आपका
आगे नहीं निकल गए।
जी
मैंने आपका कमेंट सुना, मैंने
हाँ
आपका कमेंट सुना था,
गमराज भाई
और इस
हाँ
बात का
गमराज भाई
किसी भी आबादी से,
गमराज भाई एक
आंदोलन जी
सेकंड
एक सेकंड दीजिए ना, एक सेकंड दीजिए
एक
प्लीज।
सेकंड मैं देखिए बीजी जी, अगर आपको लगता है आपके कुछ प्रयासों से आप अपनी सोसाइटी महिलाओं के लिए एक सुरक्षित स्थान बना सकते हैं तो आप प्रयास करिए। अगर आप गिव अप कर चुके हैं तो छोड़ दीजिए, उसमें कोई बहस वाला मुद्दा नहीं है। अगर आपको लगता नहीं हो सकता तो छोड़ दीजिए, कोई मतलब जबरदस्ती थोड़ी ना।
नहीं गिव अप नहीं करा सर।
मैं एक बात कहना चाह रहा हूँ बीजी जी,
आप लोग ना
मैं आपकी
अदरवाइज
बात
ले रहे हो।
मैं आपकी बात सुन रहा था, अदरवाइज नहीं ले रहे हैं, आपकी बात मैं सुन रहा था। वास्तविक रूप में जो आप बात कर रहे हैं ना, उसका किसी भी प्रकार की आबादी से मतलब ही नहीं है कि किसकी कितनी आबादी है, नहीं है। आबादी का मतलब उस क्षेत्र में होता है जहां पे हाथापाई हो, गुत्थम गुत्था हो, मारा पीटी होगी तो आबादी देखी जाती है। इंटेलेक्चुअल स्पेस से ही डिफीट किया गया था नाजी शक्तियों को, और आज भी इसकी संभावना है कि इस्लामिस्ट को इंटेलेक्चुअली टारगेट किया जा सकता है, प्रोवाइडेड कंसर्टेड एफर्ट हो। इसके लिए ना आपको हजारों लाखों करोड़ों के समर्थन की जरूरत नहीं, कुछ 100 मोटिवेटेड लोगों की जरूरत है। कुछ 5 से 10 मोटिवेटेड लोग, फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल की पैदाइश, क्रिटिकल थ्योरी को पैदा करने वाले लोगों ने एंटी सेमेटिक एफर्ट्स के वजह से नाजी आइडियोलॉजी को जड़ से उखाड़ के, तने से उखाड़ के फेंक दिया, और आज उसको पनपने के लिए भी 100 बार सोचना पड़ता है। इनके अंदर खौफ बैठा हुआ है, आज भी छुप के हैं, मौजूद है हर वेस्टर्न सोसाइटी में। लेकिन वही मैं कह रहा हूं, इसके लिए ना कितनी आबादी है, वो समय क्या था, ये समय क्या था। देखिए हर जनरेशन में बड़े बुजुर्ग आपको यही कहेंगे कि भैया हमारे टाइम में तो ऐसा था वैसा था। वक्त बदलता रहता है, आबादी हर चीज की बढ़ते घटते रहती है, लेकिन कुछ चीजें सत्य होती हैं। अगर आप एक कंसर्टेड एफर्ट लेके आएंगे, सब लोग यूनाइट होके, कि ये आइडियोलॉजी जिस तरह से चलती है और इसका जो पॉलिटिक्स है ये इनहेरेंटली इवल है, अब और क्या आपको चाहिए भैया। उन्होंने गैस चैम्बर्स में मारा लोगों को, ठीक है, कॉन्सेंट्रेशन कैंप्स में डाला। ये भैया जब मुल्क को कब्जा करते हैं, लोगों को काटना, पीटना, उनका मतलब अंदर से विनाश कर देना, सब ये करते हैं। महिलाओं को ले जाके मतलब बाजारों में बेच देते हैं। लगता है कि जैसे आज से हम 1400 साल पीछे चले गए। कुछ और भी प्रमाण चाहिए क्या इनके लिए? कंसर्टेड इंटेलेक्चुअल वॉरफेयर की आवश्यकता है। इसके लिए उनकी सड़क पे क्या आबादी, इससे मतलब नहीं है। आबादी तो उनकी 0.7% है यूएस के अंदर, 0.7% है सर। नैरेटिव कैसे कब्जा करके बैठे हुए हैं? आबादी तो उनकी यहां पे 15% है सर, 15 या 18% के बीच में कुछ है। कैसे कब्जा करके बैठे हुए हैं?
तो
समझ रहे हैं आप?
तो
आबादी
गमराज
तो आपकी
भाई
ज्यादा है ना, आबादी आपकी ज्यादा है।
गमराज भाई, हाँ तो गमराज भाई, ये
यार
यूनिवर्स
मैं
जो है
इसीलिए इस
आपका
तरीके के
G8 है।
डिस्कशंस में मैं इसीलिए इस तरीके के डिस्कशन में नहीं जाना चाहता हूँ। बीजी भाई मैं केवल बीजी भाई को नहीं पॉइंट आउट कर रहा हूँ। जिसको लगता है कि वी कैन क्रिएट अ चेंज, दे शुड कंट्रीब्यूट। जिसको लगता है दे कांट क्रिएट अ चेंज, फेयर इनफ, वी आर नॉट फोर्सिंग एनीबॉडी, लेट्स मूव
सर
फॉरवर्ड।
No, but did I hear correctly? The Nazis
आंदोलन जी,
report.
सो
Yeah.
मेरा
आंदोलन
एक
जी,
क्वेश्चन, लास्ट क्वेश्चन है सर, सुन लीजिए। तो जो
यार मैं
हम लोग को
पूछ रहा
नजर
था।
आ रहा है, जो हमें नजर आ रहा है, वो यूनिवर्स को नजर क्यों नहीं आ रहा
जी
सर?
जी
मैं बस, मेरा
नहीं
इतना
नहीं
क्वेश्चन।
बीजी जी, एक मिनट बीजी जी, इट्स इररिलेवेंट उनको देखना है या नहीं देखना है। उन लोगों ने चूज कर लिया है अपने आंखों को बंद करने के लिए। इन लोगों का एक ही मकसद है कि इन लोगों को अल्लाह के पास जाना है, एंड वो उन और जो उनके किताब में लिखा है वो ही करेंगे। ये लोग इतने बेशरम है कि आप उनसे ज्यादा एक्सपेक्ट मत करिए। ये लोग आकर इतना स्मार्ट बिहेव करते हैं, दे आर ऑल डम। उनकी सिर्फ एक आइडियोलॉजी है, दे बिलीव इन उम्मा। दे दीज पीपल
चलिए
आर
थोड़ा सा आगे
एक मिनट
बढ़ते हैं।
आंदोलन
हाँ
जी,
ऐसे
एक
में
मिनट, एक पॉइंट मैं बोल देती हूँ। जो लोग रेप को नॉर्मलाइज करते हैं, please don't expect much from them, right? But so I'm not going to speak much over here, but let's not doubt, हमें जो काम करना है वो हमें करना पड़ेगा। It's our responsibility, period. आंदोलन जी,
Uh,
please bring in new speakers also.
I just want to add something.
आंदोलन जी,
आंदोलन एक मिनट आंदोलन जी दीजिएगा। अभी आपने कहा कि इस्लाम में वो रेप कल्चर को ये लोग प्रमोट करते हो। नॉट ओनली रेप कल्चर, आप देखोगे प्रोस्टिट्यूशन को भी प्रमोट करते हैं। मुताह मैरिज का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है इनके यहाँ पर, उसमें आप कोई भी अरबी आते हैं इंडिया में, पाकिस्तान में 2 महीने के लिए, 3 महीने के लिए लड़कियों के साथ, छोटी छोटी बच्चियों के साथ मुताह मैरिज करते हैं। मुताह मैरिज इज लाइक कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल मैरिज। 2 महीने के बाद आपको उसको छोड़ देना है। इट्स लाइक प्री डिफाइंड कि आपको 2 महीने के बाद उसको छोड़ देना, तलाक हो जाएगा आपका, और आपको कुछ एक अमाउंट होता है जो आपको पे करना है। दिस इज प्रोस्टिट्यूशन। इन टुडेज टर्म वी कॉल इट प्रोस्टिट्यूशन। अब पूरा का पूरा प्रोस्टिट्यूशन को लीगलाइज कर दिया गया है मुताह मैरिज के थ्रू। तो ये भी है।
नहीं है सर, ये प्रोस्टिट्यूशन नहीं है सर, ये हलाल प्रोस्टिट्यूशन है।
अरे आंदोलन जी, आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन। मैं मेरे को पूछना था। आंदोलन जी है? हाँ, आंदोलन जी, मैं ये पूछ रहा था कि हम ना इनसे तो जैसे एक सावरकर जी का कोट है कि आई कैन फाइट 100 ऑफ पीपल बट आई कांट फाइट विद द हिंदूज हु आर अगेंस्ट अस। तो बस मेरा यही है कि ये जो इनके एक्ट्स को जस्टिफाई करते हैं, बुरे एक्ट्स को भी नहीं, लेकिन मैं ऐसा बोलूंगा जैसे मैं फॉर एग्जांपल एज अ हिंदू मैं नवरात्रि के 9 दिन के व्रत रखता हूँ, बट मेरी कोई फोटो नहीं डालता। लेकिन उनके रमजान के टाइम पे वो मतलब ये कि देखो ये इतना मेहनत कर रहे हैं, ट्रू इस्लाम, ट्रू मुस्लिम, ट्रू ह्यूमन। ये इसको कैसे बेंटर करे? जैसे
हाँ
आपको एक
नहीं,
एग्जांपल, एक पॉइंट
इस
और,
पे नेक्स्ट रूम लगा रहे हैं रघु भाई।
हाँ,
इस पे एक नेक्स्ट रूम
एक
लगाना
पॉइंट
है।
और,
ये बात
एक
एक
पॉइंट और
सेकंड,
जोड़ना चाहूंगा इसमें।
एक जोड़ लेना भाई, जोड़ लेना। मैं आपने एक अच्छी चीज याद दिलाई तो मैं उसको बता दूं। नेक्स्ट रूम इसी पे लगेगा, हाउ डेंजरस इज रमदान व्रत सिस्टम स्पेसिफिकली फॉर द यंगस्टर्स। इस पे पूरी एक मेडिकल रिपोर्ट्स का डिटेल्स है हमारे पास। And this particular system deprives the mental growth of youngsters. In Islam, it is made mandatory for boys and girls 12 years and above. And how the modern medical science strictly prohibits anybody less than a full grown man and woman to undertake such kind of fasting. How does it hinders the brain development, and the impact of that are also seen in Islamic society, how young boys and girls are getting deviant mind. So we will discuss about this in our next room. Go ahead, Raghuji.
हाँ, एक ये पॉइंट, एक दूसरा पॉइंट ये, जैसे ना आप क्रिकेट मैचेस देखते हो या फिर ये, उनमें जब ये विनिंग सेरेमनी होती है तो उनको बियर बॉटल दिया जाता है, वो शैंपेन बॉटल, टू लाइक हैव एन एंजॉयमेंट. तो सम प्लेयर्स लाइक मूव असाइड फ्रॉम देयर. जैसे इंडिया से मोहम्मद शामी और मोहम्मद सिराज ये हट जाएंगे. अगर इंग्लैंड जीतती है तो मोइन अली, आदिल रशीद ये हट जाएंगे. मतलब ये आप समझ रहे हो मैं क्या कहना चाह रहा हूँ. तो और उनको पता है फिर इस तरह से चलाया जाता है कि दीज आर ट्रू ह्यूमंस, दीज आर ट्रू मुस्लिम्स. व्हाई दिस काइंड ऑफ नैरेटिव इज बिल्डिंग अप, और इनसे कैसे मतलब ना हम मतलब बैंटर करें इसको, मतलब कैसे इनको इन सवालों को बैंटर करें हम. मेरा सवाल यही है.
मैं थोड़ी सी देर में आता हूँ इस पे. Dr. Ame and Andy are here for a while. Andy or Dr. Ame, would you like to say something?
See, there are no Hindus against you. They just don't understand what is going to happen if they do not stand up for themselves. You're again assuming why would they be against you when they technically are Hindu? They just don't realize the importance of what they're signing up for. They do not defend their culture. That is what you're going to do. That's the education you've got to give. Don't assume everyone's your enemy, especially among Hindus. There are lots of allies. You just need to figure out the best way to get to them. You can't use the same strategy with everyone. You've got to use different strategies with different people because everyone has their own priorities in life. And you're going to explain it based on what their priorities are. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Can I say something? See, basically, this is like real life experience for me. Like, I literally, I'm agnostic myself right now. When I check with Hindus, they say, okay, agnosticism is fine. You can, okay, you can seek. If you don't seek, doesn't really matter. I'm fine with that. But whenever I check with any of the Muslim Islamic scholars, like the best case scenario is that I will go to hell. Worst case scenario is that they will kill me. That's the that's like. But if I am in Islamic country, like it's almost 99% sure that I'll be killing. That's something from standard sources. And now after and it's like two parties are there. Okay, Hindu is saying okay they will allow me, and Islamic guy is literally saying he will kill me for being an atheist. And because of that, I have made a conscious choice that okay, I will give political support to Hindus and I will put Islam away from my book. And now I said literally say by saying this, he is saying I am a bigot. I mean, this is some liberal Hindu guy. Now he is saying I'm a bigot because I am not supporting the guy who wants to kill me. I mean, you see the irony and joke in it. Just because I am not giving political support to a guy who is not, who is going, he literally says will kill me once he comes to power, because I'm not supporting him, I'm a bigot. I mean, it's huge. I told him, boss, are you listening to what you're telling? He could not even answer to that question. I mean, these people are in denial. They don't know what is going to happen to them. Once the Islamists become powerful, the so-called liberal Hindus will be chopped off. There's no doubt in it. I mean, they have not internalized the information. Actually, they are in denial. That's what I mean. They're not bad Hindus. They are in denial. Hindus are not in denial and dhimmi mentality. That's it.
No, it's more fundamental than that. People always have to hope that what you're telling them about the future will not come to pass. That's all. It's just that. They do not expect that of society because fundamentally Hindus are good people. They're not bad people. They just want to hope the best of people around them. That's the thing. Also, we've been taught very sanitized version of history, by the way. We're not taught reality. Like when my mother sees war movies, she thinks, what is this? What is this violence? It makes no sense. Do people really kill each other like this? Like that. That's the thing.
Okay, one request, let's not divert from the topic. Let's try sticking to the topic that we have.
I think most of the points have been covered as a map. So until and unless somebody wants to make a closing statement,
Yeah,
we can.
Andolanji, there are three
probably
people
have.
on the panel. We can just probably finish off with them and then we can proceed towards
Sure,
closing
sure.
because as you're saying, yeah. Ivan Ali, are you there? Or Dr. Ami, have you spoken?
I think he's not.
Okay.
Andoranji, is it okay if I pin up the one of the next room we are going to do tomorrow?
Sure. Please go ahead.
अथर्वी अनाउंस भी कर दे. So let's try understanding one thing, that this is rape is not a very simple issue. You know, it's a very a woman goes through very psychological, emotional, and physical trauma. You know, physical to tab bhi theek hai, it will still, she'll be able to deal with it. But emotional trauma is something that she has to deal. And at the end of the day, if she's not getting justice, you know, just because she's a Muslim lady, or just because she's in a Islamic country where, you know, they go by the Sharia law, where they don't really give equal rights or justice to the woman, you know, where she needs four people to prove that, you know, she was being raped. On top of that, she needs two women to be in, to also say that, you know, she was being raped. How justifiable is it? So that means a man can just get away with it and walk away with it by doing a crime, and she has to deal with it for the rest of the life. Are we really ready for it? No, I don't think we should start rejecting all these things, and we need to start realizing that, you know, being a, you know, any Muslim who's a Indian Muslim, who's dealing with a criminal law not by a Sharia law, is highly privileged, because that person has, will get a chance to get a justice, whenever the case is being resolved. That is there. So, we have to really realize all these things and start being vocal that, there is a deep pothole in it. And this cult is something very, not very sweet, not very nice. It's a cult by itself. It promotes it. It actually, gives the special privilege to these men who think that, after raping, they can actually get married and they can resolve. And if these any of these Muslim people who come on the panel and say that, having a sexual relationship with a woman before marriage is haram, then we need to question them, that how do these people go ahead and rape the woman, make her pregnant, and in the name of being pregnant, they force her to get married and convert, because for them, what matters is the next generation baby that is going to come from the woman. And that's a very disgusting thing. And let's make it very clear that if it is going to be any of our women, any of the women from our religion who has faced this atrocity, do not ignore her, do not blame her, stand by her, give her the courage, and tell her to stand on her own feet and to fight for herself, and not give up, and not let these people do anything in the whim of it. Make their parents make sure that they stand by their daughters, and make sure that they do not allow their daughter to get married to these such rapists and get converted in the name of it. And if that woman really wants to give a birth to a baby, it's her choice. Let the choice be with the woman, not with the men. Let's make it very, very clear over here. So this is my closing comment over here. And I'm sure, Andolan ji will make more rooms on such type of topics where he would want to create awareness among us. The least you guys can do is, or least we guys can do is, we guys can talk about it, and create more awareness. Let our people know what is right, what is wrong, and make it as a very normal conversation. Sohail, do you want to talk on the topic, or shall we just proceed towards closing the room?
You can proceed, Sanjay.
Okay. Andolan ji, Atharvi ji, closing comment, and Atharvi just announced regarding tomorrow's room.
Yeah, so thank you, Andolanji, for creating this room. And I think there are some people who were, even before this, there was Halima as well, and True Islam as well, who is being saying, and there are many other people, even in the Hindu side, who say that, why don't you guys speak about the crimes happening in the Hindu society? You have majority of the Hindus are either very secular or left, and they are also our brother. They are also people from our Hindu community only who keep speaking, not just on this app but also outside this app. But have you seen anybody who actually speaks, who is a Muslim and speaks about the social injustice that is going on in the Muslim society? No. So that's why it's necessary. So before, always try, when you try to question that, why don't you speak on crimes happening in Hindus, you're very, very wrong. There are so many, even if you talk about just for this particular audio app called Clubhouse, there are so many rooms going on about the crimes, even in the Hindu society. Like anything goes on, they will keep a room. But have you seen any Muslim doing that? So one has to come up, right? So we decided we will come up. They're also our part of our society, so we will have to do that. Yeah, and about this tomorrow's room, guys. So we are going to do a room on the the Battle of 10 Kings, which happened long time ago, much before than the Mahabharata as well. It's a very interesting story mentioned in the Rig Vedas, and also mentions the King Bharata, after which our country is named. So we will be really, really happy that if you all come here. It will be a very short room, but a very interesting room. It will be around 10 to 10:30 on tomorrow, like Saturday night. You will really enjoy it, and this is just an attempt to make people interested in listening to the ancient events and incidents that happened in the history of our Indian subcontinent. So we welcome everybody, all of you, to be part of this storytelling journey with us. Thank you, and thank you, Andolanji, again for making this room.
Andolanji, SMG, and Atharviji, thank you for this room, and I hope Andolanji you will make more such rooms. The last room I remember was FMG, and before that, the impactful room, Andolanji, and economy and Islam. So I hope Andolanji will make more such room, and thank you, other mods.
Right. Let us not take any new speakers as of now because we are about to close. First of all, thanks everyone who contributed on the speaker panel. Thank you, mods, for helping me mod this room. As always, like any other room of ours, this room is also recorded. People who have not been able to listen to the full room and discussion can revisit this room. Most of the content in this room is based on the reports, Human Rights Asia report, articles from BBC, Guardian, New York Times, etc. So if you want to cross-reference for another discussion or any other purpose, you can go through the details, go through the links provided in the room. Again, my request to people who were aware of, these suppression of rapes in Islamic society, suppression of women in Islamic society, they need to tone up. They need to, spread this message that in Islamic society there are injustices which are happening, and people who are not aware, make them aware about it. You can follow the club. This club holds many such rooms. We have held room on triple talaq. We have held room on, polygamy. We have held room on, many such topics where, the injustice to women in Islamic society specifically is discussed threadbare in an academic fashion. But thanks again to mods, to speakers, and all the people who have been patiently been participating in this room as listeners. Thanks again to everyone. I'll be ending the room now.
This video was made possible by Creative Contents.